Uy, kuyugi ko nganong di man ka. Kuyugin ako bisan dili ko gwapa. Kahibalo ko mustoya sa kaagi sa una. Sa mga bayani nakigira lang para sa guma. Isumudas ma andam mo away mamatay. Unsa ka pa umanggi atay. Kuyogi lagi ko di man ko mamugos. Kuyog ang mukha ko sa kagahapon ni umabot. Kuyogi lagi ko di man ko mamugos. Kuyog ang mukha ko sa kalayo ni tupas. Andam daw pa ng subok para malikawas kuyog niyo. Magkuyog na ta pagdali na diha. Ngano di ay nganong di man kaganahan. Kupta na to ang sundan nila pula-po. Leyon kilat flores sa gargajo. Isumutas man andam mo away mamatay. Ulipon sa gugma gumanggi atay. Kuyogi lagi ko di man ko mamupos. Kuyog ang mukha ko sa kagahapon ni umabot. Kuyogi lagi ko di man ko mamupos. Kuyog ang mukha ko sa kalayo ni tupas. Andam daw ba ng subok para malingkawas kuyog ni mo. Di ko ni mo kuyogan inuntikan talawan. Di nakakatilaw sa humba o kinilaw. Kuyog lagi ko di man ko mamugos. Kuyog ang mukha ko sa kagahapon ni umabot. Kuyog lagi ko di man ko mamugos. Kuyog ang mukha ko sa kalayo ni tupas. Andam daw ba ng subok para malingkawas kuyog ni mo. Kuyog ni mo. Kuyog ni mo.
Ganaan, namut ba be, tolokan be je, pagkatapos tolokan be lem. Kemudian tolokan be lem, nubut betul, tolokan mili kemo tao, tapos kemudian makam hulung, lingkon namut ni bayo teme, mut ba amfan nubut mo duni teme.
Pinahimo ni Lolo sang una nga kung halimbawa naibalod sa lake, ginakopya na sa wat.
Ayaw kalain konsultihan ti ka, nga para nako, gahi kaayo ka, sama kabagsik o kagahi sa Galeriya Independensya. Murag, hardwood man tingali ka, nga sa imong ka-hard, wa man gyud ko nimo tagda. Maong ang sarok sa asawa ni Humabon, buot na nakong sulupon. Tiaw mo, ni atong 1521, si Juana di ay ang pinakagwapa. Sigun kini sa pananaw sa langyaw nga si Pigafetta. Bisang nataliwadan pa siya taplas nga mga dalaga. Ayaw kalain konsultihan ti ka, nga galaom kung muhumok pud unta ka. Aba naglibog ko kung unsaon pagpasoft sa hard ni mong heart. Ako kabang daron, ihumol sa tunaan, isul sa lusong og lobkon sa alo, ialig-ig sa nigo, dayon galingon kuyog sa mais, lungagon sa kun, latan pag-ayo. Ayaw kalain konsultihan di ka, nga nagduda kong dili lang gahi, apan butasab ka. Imo ra yung gisnabang akong feelings, nga daw nag-awas-awas na tubig sa banga. Nagpasad sama sa bulawan o uban pa. Nga gibarter ka ni atong panahon ni Humabon, kuyog ang puno sa tato ng mga subuanon. Ayaw kalain konsultihan ni ka, naggahi, buta, ug bungol pagyud ka. Kay wa gyud nimo mapaminaw, nga sa matag magtagdo ta, hinindughan ko daw tambol o akong magbuto-buto. Mubagting sama sa tililing sa brass master sa South Cotabato. Mukas ka sama sa kwerda sa higalo nga gikitiw-kitiw sa ampit ng mga pudlo. Mutyabaw sama sa kubing nga gitayhok, gihagkan sa ngapil nga nagkibot-kibot. Ayaw kalain konsultihan ti ka, di lang kagahi, buta o bungol, apan baga pagyud ka. Kaysa dihang wadang nga ang akong kamot, imong nahikapan, murag din malang gihapon ka. Apan dinhin ako, ang imong accidental touch, murag miukiok sa akong espiritu, daw gihablon nga tinalak sa Lake Cebu. O pisyabit sa isla sa Sulo, murabag, imo kong nasyat sa taro. Ayaw kalain konsultihan di ka, nga di lang kagahi, buta, bungol, baga. Duda ko, sama sa simod sa iring, bugnaw kayo ka. Sa imong kabugnaw, cool kayo ka kusniton. Tungod wala gyud para nimo, nga bisag na ako, gapa-sweet-sweet yung ka sa imong amiga. In town, kahapdos sa akong dugan, murag dami sa eskrimador gibunal-bunalan, daw gitusok-tusok sa bangkaw nila pulapo. Gitigba sa hait na pinuti sa katipunero, gibikas-bikas sa kres ni Leon Kilat o sa mga moro. Ayaw kalain konsultihan ikaw, nataliwa sa imong pagkagahi, kabaga, ka-cold. How I wish nga kung dadunti ka sa atubangan sa mga bayaning revolusyonaryo, ang tanan mong mga apan kay ilupad kuyog sa mga apan-apan. Sama sa mga hero, hunk, o syofo masad ka, maong sayang kung dili ni mo maambuhan. It's your loss. Kung ang lami kung nga linutuan, dili ni mo matilawan.
Sa kinsa nga babae, di ka ilisan kaya nga akong gugma. Solid pa sa katipunan.
Sorry kaayo kung gisultihan ikaw. O sa kaagi mo karon na sulayan, nagamiton imong ka-bright,
kautukan. Abrihon imong mata, dunggan ug dugan, aron imo kong makuyugan. Subayon ta ang dalan padulong sa kagawasan, hangtod nga ang imong kasing-kasing musabay pagtitik ning akong dugan. Dayon mag-uban ta og hakop sa bulawanong ani, manglupad uban sa panon sa mga langgam. Likayan, biyaan ang tagkahi ug kapugnaw, gakson ang kahumok sa hangin, hakan ang kainit sa adlaw.
Sa kamangit-ngit nga gabi, malipayon ka ng isulti, bahin sa imong gugma, kibati kaniya ihalad imong kinabuhi.
Tinuod ng igugma ko niya, apan nga nukon makita ka. Kalipay sa tukan ko ay sama, nga unta kaniya naman gitagana. Sa kining pagbati nga di masabtan, nga walay patulngan.
May katumanan.
Siya ang adlaw sa akong sidlakan, siya ang ulan sa sapang nauhan. Siya ang hangin sa akong amihanan, siya ang bituon sa akong kalangitan, ug akong gihigugma sa kahangturan. Samtang ikaw di gayud iksabayan. Apan kun mawa ka sa pananaw, dughan kong mapuno na sa kamingaw. Sayot kong dili maduha-duha, kinabuhi ko isaad na kaniya.
Ikaw na ayaw tagaking kasakit, kay siya lang ang mahalun mo sa hingpit. Ang panahon na tawagan mo, alang kaniya, dugo mo ipatulong.
Kung sa kining pagbati nga di masabtan, nga walay patulngan, way katumanan. Mahimo bang ang kahayag mahulaman?
Sama sa adlaw na to sa bulan,
mahimo ka bang higugmaon bisan sa hinuwa mang panahon?
siya ang adlaw sa imong sinlakan, siya ang ulan sa sapang naukan, siya ang hangin sa imong amihanan.
Siya ang bituon sa akong kalangitan, ug akong gihigugma sa kahanturan. Samtang ikaw
Ako di gayud iksabayan.
ikaw
Ako
dili iksabayan.
They say looks can be deceiving. At first glance, I thought you were not much to look at. All icing, no cake, all steam, not much brew. But the night air sings of fulfilling ancient dreams. The moon whispers of tenderness for the smallest of them, for the unheard, the unseen. And as the sun breaks through our heroes' memories, your blinding smile hits my heart like the warrior's blade, like Lapu-Lapu's spear. But the far seas beckon you. The memories on these walls try to soothe the pain of parting. I seek for your warmth, but only these sheets comfort me. My tears are salt water flowing to bridge the seas and islands that divide us. The stars listen to my sighs as I look for you in the skies. And now you're here. Our love blazes like the fire of our heroes' revolution. Our hearts entwined is such sweet victory, incomparable, like the journey of our people, like the richness of our culture.
Malipayong adlaw sa mga kasing-kasing ug malipayong pagsaulog sa bulan sa alampa. Happy Hearts Day and Happy National Arts Month. PAMGRAS, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, with the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the National Quincentennial Committee, Museo Sugbo or the Cebu Provincial Museum, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, the Diandi Heritage Center, and so on 2020 bring you today, this afternoon, a special Valentine's Day event, a special National Arts Month event, Huyup, Kablit, indigenous music, courtship, and sex practices in the Visayas since 500 years ago. Maayong adlaw sa tanan, maayong adlaw sa kasing-kasing. We're so happy that you are with us again this afternoon in our event. We welcome our physical audience, also from the National Fiber, and also from the University of Cebu and from Cebu Technical University. So our artists are here with us, and we also welcome everyone on Facebook Live. So we have from the National Quincentennial Committee page, we have City, we have um, we have Idalin, Zalde, Ryan. Maayong hapon, good afternoon, maayong malipayong adlaw sa mga kasing-kasing. Malipayon ba ang inyong kasing-kasing? Are your hearts happy today? So you should be happy because we will have exciting conversations this afternoon with our guests, with our panelists, and also with our reactors and with our youth who are with us this afternoon. So we have also in our from our audience from our Facebook live from the Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage page. We have Alexandra, we have William Salige, we have also Aries Vinlin Tanyola. So malipayong hapon and happy Valentine's Day. Alexandra says, good afternoon. So now I know you're very excited that we are going to discuss about indigenous music and also Visayan music, pre-colonial, the music of pre-colonial and ancient Visayas, and the music throughout the years until today used for courtship. And also we would be discussing the sex practices and courtship and indigenous music in Mindanao today. So we have we today as our celebration of the Valentine's Day. We are also celebrating the National Arts Month. So this month is the National Arts Month, and also we are celebrating this month at the end of this month. So we are celebrating today the Valentine's Day, the Hearts Day. So there is also we have treats for you when you come to Palmgrass, and tonight there is also a Valentine's Day event. It's Gugma Yarn. There will be games with prizes. It's a find your match, and also um, tonight will be the announcement of the winner of the game, online game, Gugmang Napakyas. The worst heartbreak, the most creative story and worst heartbreak. So it's a heartbreak Valentine. So the worst heartbreak would win exciting prizes. Also, there would be consolation prizes. So what are the other games tonight? So, and the first 14 guests at Hardin Dagami will have free lumay. Lumay is a love potion. So there's the drink of the month this month at Palmgrass. Its name is the name of the drink this month is Lumay, which is a love cocktail. It's a love potion. But it has only bahalina and cranberry and at Palmgrass, and it is believed that if you will give the one that you like or that you love a lumay, he or she will be able to return your feelings. So actually, we had a discussion of that with a healer, a traditional healer, but it's another story. So now we are celebrating also this month the ikaunom nga tuig sa Kapihan ni Lumaya, the anniversary of our restaurant named in honor of a character in a folklore, Lumaya, who was so the name of our um, restaurant is Lumaya. So it would be the 6th year of Kapihan ni Lumaya this year. Actually, Kapihan ni Lumaya opened ahead of the grand opening of Palmgrass Hotel, because the grand opening of Palmgrass Hotel was yet on April 3, 2017. So on February 28, 2016, Kapihan ni Lumaya, because it isn't at the ground floor, it opened first. So we would like to recognize and thank our partners in today's event, our partners and sponsors of our event. We have the National Quincentennial Committee, the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the Central Visayas Association of Museums, the Andy Heritage Center, so on 2020, and we would like to thank the support of our other institutions who are joining this event. We have the Cebu Normal University and the University of Cebu, and others who have registered and who have confirmed to join this event, our hybrid event today. So we would also like to say hi to um, to Ryan. So for those on Facebook Live, we encourage you to comment so that we can recognize you. So we'll be able to recognize you. You put the hashtag Huyup, hashtag Kablit. So of course you know what is Huyup. Huyup is to blow. It is in the dictionary of Visayan arts. It is to blow an instrument. So this is it. Huyup is a Visayan word for to blow or to play an instrument. And of course, Kablit. Kablit is a Visayan word which means to also to play a string instrument. Yes, Kablit. Kablit. And also, of course, Kablit. And then today, when you say Kablit, you are, masana sa English na Kablit? Yeah. So it's a Visayan word which means you are touching someone so that he or she will be able to notice you, right? Kablit. Kablita na. Kablit. And kablit is to touch or to play an instrument, to finger or something of an instrument, to play a string instrument. So of course we are going to have more stimulating discussions today. So prepare your questions and reactions because our panelists and reactors would be able to answer you, hopefully. If we can't answer your question yet, it would be reserved for the next event. So we would also like to recognize our partners who our participants who have registered in our hybrid event today. So we have our participants from the Cebu Normal University, from the University of Southern Philippines Foundation, Catanduanes State University, Advanced Institute of Technology, Colegio de Santa Rita de San Carlos. So from which region is this? So we have also San Carlos City, from Negros Occidental. Santa Rita is in San Carlos City. We have from Cebu Technological University. We have from University of San Carlos, from the Palabra, from the Organization of Literature Students. Thank you for joining us online. We have also from those who are participating this afternoon from the University of the Philippines, Visayas. We also have participants from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. We also have from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Western Mindanao State University, University of Southern Mindanao, Roseville Area High School, San Francisco High School, St. Cecilia's College, Cebu, Mandawi City School for the Arts High School, Matias Aznar Memorial College of Medicine. We have from the DepEd Schools Division of Taguig City and Pateros, DepEd Iloilo, Bitaw Breda, the Dumaguete Vintage Bicycle Club. We also have actually our friends from the Visayan Culture page who are also based outside of the Philippines, from Canada and in North America. And so we thank everyone for joining us, and we also have our physical participants right now, our our um, our friends from the media, online media, and also artists. So we have artists and historians here. So thank you very much for joining us. So we would like you, of course, to share your comments later, physically here on at our event venue at Palmgrass Hawanan Tres de Abril. So now we would like to first to we would like to introduce to you our panelists this afternoon. So, of course, this afternoon we will have trivia quiz with prizes. There will be a quiz for everyone online, and there is also a quiz for those here physically. So, only those present here can answer one question for a prize for you being here, and then physically. And in our safe event, everyone is on face mask, and then physical distancing, and also we have our air purifier with HEPA filter right at your side. So we have a very safe event right now. So one air purifier is actually for 60 square meters, so we have more than enough in our venue. We have two here right now. This is for 200 square meters koan, kanang air purifier. So now we would like to introduce to you our panelists. So we have our panelists from our heritage community, our cultural community, or cultural advocacy. First, we have our panelist. He is a panelist. He is with us for the first time. He is a veteran musician. He has composed so many Visayan songs, popular Visayan songs. He is a film scorer. He puts music on some films, and he is also a music director in theaters. and he is a member of the Committee on Music of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Please help me welcome 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲𝗁.
Hi, maayong hapon kaninyong tanan, maupay nga tulog. Magandang hapon, no? And good afternoon sa lahat sa tanang naminaw aning ang programa Huyup ug Kablit. This is an event at sa nato sa Arts Month ang February. Ang bulan sa gugma. So just stick up to the last minute of this streaming para mabatian niyo ang tanan mga butang bahin sa gugma pinagi sa musika sa mga Bisaya before the coming of the Spaniards o hangtod karon.
Daghang salamat, 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲𝗁. I am upset. Am I? Daghang salamat, 𝗟𝘂𝗃, for joining us. So, of course, 𝗟𝘂𝗃 is, according to Dr. Rolando Barinaga, a Visayan historian, 𝗟𝘂𝗃𝗰𝗶𝗲𝗁 is the foremost resource person on Visayan music. So we're very honored, and it's our pleasure to have him with us. Although we have recorded his answers to our questions because of his busy schedule today. So we have with us now online also and live online. We have our second panelist. Our second panelist has been with us in our discussion last November on the indigenous weapons in the Visayas and Mindanao. So he is also our panelist is he is the museum in charge of the City Museum of Cagayan de Oro, and he is also with the Heritage Committee of the city. And he is very kind to show us last November, even if the museum was not open at the time, he was very kind to show me the museum, the native instrument, the musical instruments inside the museum in Cagayan de Oro. And he told me so many stories about the indigenous peoples, the tribes in Mindanao, where he had immersed. So please help me welcome 𝗟𝘂 Salon.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. Maupya na mahapon ka inyo kantalangon, way maupya na aldo ka goinawa. Happy Day of Love to everyone.
So you were speaking in what language?
That's ma'am, that's Matigsalog Manobok.
If I
The
would say
community that I'm involved with.
maayad ha aldaw.
Maupya na aldo ka goinawa.
Okay. Daghang salamat, 𝗟𝘂. So stay tuned for the exciting discussions of 𝗟𝘂, especially of the sex positions of that in the tribes. I know you're waiting for that. So it will be nearly at the end of his discussion. So this afternoon, aside from having these conversations with our panelists, we have, as I said, trivia quiz with prizes. So should take note of the details of our discussions so that you would be able to answer the questions later on. We will have a presentation from one of the youth of the Bagong 𝗟𝘂𝗃𝗃𝗃, and he would also be reacting also to some discussions. So we will have the perspective of the youth regarding the music, courtship, and sex practices of the pre-colonial Visayans. So we also have actually a reactor also from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Aside from our youth reactor, we have a reactor from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Would we show him? And he is from the Cultural Education Committee of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. And he is also a dance choreographer, and he choreographed the palmgrass production of the pre-colonial Sinulog. So I would like to show you for you to greet you. We want to show you our reactor from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee on Culture Education, Dr. 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲. 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲.
𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲. Okay, maayong hapon karon tanan, and then of course to all our friends all over the world. Good afternoon, and then for my friends in Mindanao, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Daghang salamat. So we are so amazed that Cesar, he is a very good dance choreographer. His religion is Islam, but he was the one who choreographed our Sinulog dance, a dance for the Santo Niño. So it's amazing, right? So now, before we start with our discussion, we would like to bring you to Lake Cebu. So it is farmgrass advocacy to know our roots. So that's why we go to places for us to know what could have been the picture of Visayan life before the Spaniards came. So now we tried to look for these jewelries, like we wanted to show at our gallery on history, our historical gallery. We wanted to show pre-colonial items. So we looked for, actually, we wanted to look for gold jewelry because Visayans, as described by Pigafetta, by the foreigners who came to our islands, they said that Cebuanos, or the Visayans, or even those from Mindanao, were clad in gold from head to toe. So we really tried to look for these gold jewelries or brass. So right now, only the Tibuli. I think the Tibulis are one of those who are still producing brass jewelry traditionally. So that's why we went there to look at how they do traditional brass casting. So aside from that, we saw their musical instruments. So this is now our video that we would like to show you. So this video was shot in 2019 before the pandemic, and is created by our partner in our Heritage Awareness Program, Social Communications Asia, based in Hong Kong, and also with the video creator and social communications advisor, Prospero Lapot. And this is the video.
The kumbing maker played the kumbing after he made it. O pa ko kay Bao at no time ba? Nga secret messages and ang kumbing playing. And that time, I did not know yet. I'm sure he did not ask me to go to the river with him or to go to the lake. So according to our heritage consultants, if we want to know the arts and culture of pre-colonial Visayas or ancient Visayas, we just have to look at the way of life and the arts and culture of the indigenous communities in Mindanao right now. So Lake Cebu is the home of the ethnic group Tibuli. We were so amazed that they made serious efforts to preserve their indigenous crafts, their traditional loom weaving of tinalak, brass casting of jewelries and ornaments, and crafting of native instruments such as kumbing and higalong. We wanted to see how a kumbing was made, so we were led to the outskirts of Lake Cebu, and we found the kumbing maker in a house where the mother was also sewing a dress with native design. So the Tibulis kumbing is kumbing in Maranao. So in 1521, Chronicler Pigafetta, who was with Ferdinand Magellan, he referred to it as subing. Religious missionary Father Francisco Alcina described the subing as the musical instrument par excellence, as lovers would communicate secretly through playing the instrument. Dunay panahon nga giban ni siya sa usa ka ethnic community tungod kay ni-interfere siya sa mga arranged marriages nga gihimo sa mga elders.
Sanggungalo mare permane turumum se de firanga lagi 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲.
To Alcina, he said that the Visayans or the Visaya are a joyful people, comes from the word saya. They use musical instruments, they always sing, and when they express also their love, their affection for someone, they also use music.
Daviri non we ka dun gaviri non we tu de gonam
The Tibuli Higalong player, Elma, composed her song drawing from her experience of falling in love when she was still 15 years old. The song was filled with longing for the object of her affection, whom she describes as very good looking in all angles, and he has a pointed nose. And most of all, he is hardworking, a trait that is very important for the indigenous people. She wanted very much to be with Filinon.
Kuntiri non. Yan.
Wala din siya mahimo. Kaya ang lalaki na asawa sa Pilimon siya na bana.
Kanta na lang.
So what have I learned from these heritage trips? I saw that indigenous peoples that are struggling in trying to continue the crafts. So they are wondering if the younger generation will be following their footsteps. So with the little things that we have done and the little things that we can do, we are looking at the whole community, especially the younger generation, to continue working together and supporting one another in promoting our heritage, in learning about our history, and to be proud of our roots.
A round of applause for that video. So we thank very much our video creator, Prosper Lapot, for doing that video. And also we thank the late Postmaster General, the Field Postmaster General Joel Otara and his daughter Jonica Otara for bringing us to Lake Cebu and guiding us in the area. Also, we thank 𝗟𝗹cie, the one you saw in that video, the one who said about, who interpreted for us the song of the Tibuli woman. So he is a pastor, and he was also our guide in the area. And also we thank everyone in Lake Cebu who welcomed us. They were so friendly and they were really excited and eager to share with us their music, their culture, their way of life. And also we have this higalong or a boat lute, and this is 𝗟𝗂𝗯𝗶𝗲 in ancient Visayas. There are so many boat lutes in the Philippines or in our archipelago, like in 38 ethnic groups in our islands. There are about 28 kinds of boat lutes. It's called boat lute because it's shaped like a boat, but most symbolisms in our archipelago, in the ethnic tribes, most of the symbolisms are that of the crocodile, even the buaya, even Father Francisco Alcina. So Father Francisco Alcina is mentioned here in these books, and these are available at Congress Cebu Heritage Hotel in Barangay and in the Dictionary of Visayan Arts. So Father Francisco Alcina described the lute or the string instrument, the two-string instrument before the Spaniards came as a shape or shaped like a crocodile. So and then of course we have the kubing. So we also have the kubing here. So I think my kubing fell. So we have that kubing maker that you saw, and who played his kubing after, made 50 pieces of kubing in just overnight. He made it for me. I asked him to make the kubing. And then he even draw a palm grass logo on the kubing. Daghang salamat. So, and then he was just actually it's just charcoal. He used charcoal for the design. Like so he I think his color for this is charcoal. So we saw him like making this, and then after that playing. So we would have more details about kubing in our discussion with our panelists in a while. So so daghang salamat to those online, Joey at the NQC page. We have Christina, we have Lunel, John Andro with an emoji of a heart, Faye Rada, we have Marie Antoinette Villaluz. We also have Jorilyn from St. Paul University of Dumaguete. His professor is Josefino Larena. Daghang salamat for joining us. We also have Bessie from also a student of Professor Larena. We have Samantha, Sweetie Pie, and also Eden De Guzman from SDO Tapat, from Taguig and Pateros. So daghang salamat. So do indicate your, drop your comments as we go along and also your questions. So if we cannot answer your questions, we would take note of it for the next events. So, so we have this question now. So we have seen the musical instruments of the Tibuli, the higalong and the kumbing. So it's kumbing for them. In Maranao, it's kubing. In precolonial Visayas, it's subing. And Pigafetta wrote it as subin because they have no G. I think the Italians have no G. So now we would like to have this first question for our Visayan musician, also from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee on Music. He is also a composer of Visayan songs, and he is a musical director for theater and film scorer also. We will have a question for Lucien Letaba, and our question is, we would like to ask Lucien to elaborate on the music and instruments of the pre-colonial Visayans.
Okay, thank you. When we talk about pre-colonial music of Eastern Visayas, meaning the music of our ancestors before we were colonized, there seems to be a difficulty in tracing what remains from our colonial past. Well, what the reason for this is, well, after we were Christianized, after we were colonized and Christianized, syempre, what the Spaniards did, the first thing that they did was to throw away, eliminate, whatever remnants there was of pre-colonial culture among the Visayans. So one of these were the musical instruments. That's why today we could hardly find some musical instruments that were used before the coming of the colonizers. So what we could fairly do today is to cite references based on published accounts and chronicles, particularly those from Alcina and Pigafetta. And then what is based on existing traditions in other places in the Philippines, especially in Mindanao, where our culture is very close. We can establish links para meron lang tayong maipakitang sample ng mga instruments na to. Later on, with the introduction of some Western modes of music by the Spaniards, we will see the influence of these colonial courtship traditions, since our topic today is about love and music. So particularly, we will be discussing smiling from the Eastern Visayan region and 𝗟𝗪𝗪 of Central Visayas. According to Alcina, Francisco Ignacio Alcina, in his book Historia de las Islas y Indios de Visayas in 1668, published in 1668, uh, which was translated later by Father 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲. So we can use this book for scholarly research and ordinary users in schools and the broad public. He mentioned that rarely can a Visayan be found unless he is sick, who ceases to sing except when he is asleep. Meaning, yung mga Bisaya, the Visayans, were a music-loving people. So all day long, almost all their activities were musical. So there are only two occasions when they do not perform or do music, meaning singing and playing the instruments, when they are sick and when they are asleep. He also mentioned, he noted that with much amazement, the dexterity, the manner the natives were playing the instruments. According to him, they speak and make love to one another. Maybe he was not saying this literally, but when the Visayans played the instrument, particularly the 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲 or the lute or guitar in today's time, and the korlong, this is the bowed lute or fiddle, parang violin. They play the instruments with much dexterity. It's so spontaneous and very expressive. There's no time element involved. They just kept on playing and playing and playing, according to Alcina. So what were he also mentioned other forms of music to accompany their activities. Mentioned about ambahan, which is a form of community singing or song. The bikal or balak, a satirical joust in strict meter, where the man usually says critical comments of the woman and vice versa. Also mentioned about the awit, which follows the metrical structure of the ambahan. So the last word of a line is broken into syllables, and the last syllable begins the next line. Okay, so here is an image of the lute that we're talking about. These are actually different kinds of lutes with local name Kurlong or Koreapi or Kutjapi. So a lute is practically a two-string wooden musical instrument. So the body is made of wood or bamboo, and then there's a handle, and there are two strings, and there's a fret, that divides, to move from one section to another when playing the guitar, when tones are played, and then to regulate the string na ay mga this part of the handle. Okay, so this is how the sound of the particularly it's repetitive, repetitive, and the tonalities are kind of limited, so 4 to 5 tones, or we call the pentatonic scale, and then non-metric, meaning the playing, the values of the note are not organized into bars, in the manner that we do the Western mode is organized, and we call the time signature. So all of those disappeared. Here is a present-day documentation of the lute. This is a Kablit tribe in Mindanao.
Okay.
it is played, sometimes it is also played with other instruments like what you saw the tabakpan, or that's a native drum made of goat skin, and wooden bass. Okay, and usually ensemble talagang playing. Okay, thank you.
Daghang salamat, Lucien. So, Lucien elaborated about the music in precolonial Visayas, the two-string boat lute, the two-string lute. So, and that's 𝗟𝗂𝗯𝗶𝗲 or 𝗟𝗂𝗯𝗶𝗲 and 𝗟𝗏. And then, so he also mentioned that the Tibulis also have those string instruments or lutes. So he mentioned about the Bisaya as a musical people. We always Father Alcina said, according to Lucien, that the Visayans always sing. They only do not sing when they are sick and when they are sleeping. So we have also this book, Surat Binisaya. This is by Dr. Rolando Borinaga. And then he also has in this book a vocabulary of our words, as Dictionary of Visayan Words by Father Francisco Alcina. So he compiled all the words defined by Father Francisco Alcina. And of course, Visayan or the Visaya is the definition of the Visaya is an entertaining people, a happy people. So saya. So from the word saya, so we're always happy, except when we're sick or when we're sleeping. We're still happy when we sleep. We dream of happiness. so so these are part of the culture. So that's what Lucien said about the music and the characteristics of the Visayan, as also discussed, as also written by Father Francisco Alcina. So now we would like to ask Lucien. So before that, we would like to recognize those also online. Sobi Wing, he is from the Visayan culture page, and he is watching from the ancestral unsurrendered territories of the 𝗦𝗹𝗶𝗶𝗃 indigenous nations currently known as Vancouver, Canada. So he's from Canada. So and he is an advocate of Visayan culture. And we have Janine Perez from SDO Tapat, Minerva. We have Dob Pantoja, also from the St. Paul University of Dumaguete, with Professor Pen Larena. And we have also from the NQC National Quincentennial Committee page, Joey Cas, Sonny Santiago, Luisito, and who is saying that another string instrument of the South is the dayuray. And also he mentioned higalong. And also we have Giovanni Putong from Davao. Maayong hapon, Madayaw, greetings from Davao. So what unsa ni nga ethnic groups sad? Is this also so daghan sad nga there are many ethnic groups also in Davao. So we have John Kyle and Luisito Oligario is watching from Makati City. Daghang salamat Luisito for watching. Now we would like to ask Lucien, how did the different courtship forms evolution from pre-colonial, colonial, and present times in the Visayas. So we are trying to connect music with courtship using music for courtship for love. So what are the different courtship forms in the Visayas throughout the centuries?
Okay, thank you. So we will now try to trace the evolution of courtship from prehistoric, pre-colonial Philippines, colonial Spanish Philippines, and post-colonial. So I would like to compare, the traditional styles vis-a-vis the contemporary style. So after while we are trying not to preserve balito and smiling as forms that we want to keep and treasure, and we want to propagate even to the present generation. So next to the balitaw, another form of courtship that was very popular in the after the war, even before the war, there was harana. So harana is it's the root of this is the kundiman, which was the main element of a zarzuela, introduced and performed by the Filipinos towards the end of the Spanish rule and until the 1930s. Later on, when the zarzuela was banned by the sedition law, because instead of talking about love as things, they talk about love to country, love for the native land. And that's why some zarzuelitas were actually imprisoned because of the sedition law. So the harana is a concrete remnant of the kundiman. So let's listen to some.
Basuni ko hadughan arantuson tinitigan kay ang langit hantugma kun ilubon kalipayan.
So that's waray harana. This is another harana Cebuano.
Hangyon kung imong pasaylo ning akong pagtugaw kanimo, tuguti nga ako magsampi, tuguti nga ako mag-awi, kung mahimo pamatian, ining kabus kong pangalian.
Cebuano harana. Notice that the songs are very melancholic musically, and there is a pattern. Well, in music parlance, we call that a conjunct progression of notes. So from a low note, diretso, it goes up to a very high note. That jump is a very distinct quality sa harana, design harana. And so with the first track that we listen, Basuni ko hadughan the Badulya, uses the same pattern, yung disjunct, pagluksos sa note. Dili mo lubad kini pagpati, and then it goes down. So that's very melancholic compared to a Tagalog harana. Okay. Another important element in the traditional courting is servitude. So this is very common not only among the Visayas but other Filipinos as well. Magsiserbi ka. Before you get married, you'll be fetching water, and other forms of servitude. There's also parents' consent. And even consent among the community members. In a town in Sama, particularly Balangiga, there's a 5-stage courtship. So from pamamanhikan to dowry to there's also what we call a testing period, and then approval to the community. Ipaparade pa na, no? So they are in a float. The would-be couple will be paraded, no, around the town, no, to show the people that they're going to get married, and then whoever is not amenable to the marriage should intervene until they get married and their children. So, but of course, that's no longer practiced. So the dowry is also one important element, and the giving of gifts, social approval, family, and community. Another form of courtship, no, which was very popular, but no longer practiced today, is writing of love letters, no? Or later on in the 70s, the pen pal mailed to ordered brides even. Of course, today, there's still face-to-face dating, no? But there's also what we call 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲𝗁 online dating, meaning to say they're being introduced by friends, or some even just click Facebook, place the message, hi, introduce yourself, and the following day they are on a date. So that's how it's being done. And of course, a number of online dating apps. So those lovers or people who are in the search for a lover, hopeless na, so they would resort to online dating apps. Okay, so if we're going to compare the traditional and the present day courtship styles, so traditional eloquence, no, of the male, usually the male lover, matters. So it's not necessary that he's good looking, no, but because of his ability to persuade, no, to play up with words, metaphors for the lady, so he is able to win the heart of the woman. Today, I don't think. Well, it could also still be an important factor, but I think it's more today. It's more physical and the and the when you have the same vibes, So the security and ability to support the family was also a requirement, even today. No? Social approval before the family or community. But today, I think it's just limited to the immediate family. And then the duration of courtship. Well, before, as I was telling you earlier, no? So it takes time. So it was really a long, the timeline between courtship, until marriage was longer in span. Today, well, it really depends on the couple, and you can even, after knowing each other on Facebook, the family you want to get married, so it's shorter. So what's the difference between courting and dating? Ang courting may element ng may hints ng sweetness, no, and indeed, no, ang what matters was the development of love between the partners, no? Whereas today, dating was it's like a screening, If you get a good vibe between you can go on, no, and be lovers, no, until you decide to get married. So it's like a hit and miss thing. And of course, before, traditionally, so even if the marriage doesn't work after you get married, because of your commitment to the family, to the lady, to your wife, and to the family, separation was a last option, no? Or an option that is not really um, not in the top of list. No? Whereas today, so if we don't like each other anymore, if there's something going on between the two lovers, huwag tayong separate. Thank you.
Daghang salamat, Lucien. So Lucien was telling us about the courtship practices before the Spaniards came and until today, and he compared such. And of course, there would also be, we would be asking also the current practice of indigenous peoples in Mindanao so that we would have a picture, because of course, according to our heritage consultants, if we want to know the arts, the way of life, the arts and culture of the pre-colonial Visayas, then we have to look at the indigenous people's way of life right now. So of course, if you research also, if you read Alcina, and Alcina's writings are mentioned here in Barangay by William Henry Scott. Alcina also mentioned about marriage practices, sex practices, and courtship, and also music. And Alcina described the 𝗟𝗯𝗶𝗲, of course, the kubing as the instrument par excellence. We would show it again later for those who are not able to watch the video about the kubing and the higalong of the Tibuli. So according also to Alcina, the women get very excited when they hear the music of the 𝗟𝗯𝗶𝗲. And then it's also, even the 𝗟𝗯𝗶𝗲, music was a way of communicating between sweethearts and between lovers. Like they would send secret messages through the through the 𝗟𝗯𝗶𝗲 and also through the subing. So I don't. He also said that usually the lute or the 𝗟𝗯𝗶𝗲 is played like at night when the lover is nearby, and they would be able to communicate through it. So it's very amazing how you can communicate through music. So we would know more about that. So now we would like to call our panelists from Mindanao. He has immersed in indigenous peoples in Mindanao. He is the museum in charge of the City Museum of Cagayan de Oro. He is an anthropology graduate, and he is a member of the Heritage Committee in Cagayan de Oro. Please help me welcome JC Salon. JC,
Hello. Yes.
maayong hapon. So we're
Maayong
happy
hapon.
with us online live right now. So we would like to ask you regarding the ethnic group 𝗟𝗶𝗃⁵ and why did you choose this group in our discussion today on indigenous music, courtship, and sex practices?
This well, it was through the 𝗟𝗃⁰ that I immersed the most, no. Actually, this one, the a bit of background regarding this, why we are here. In the early 2000s, my professor, si Dr. 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲, I think he's in MSU IIT right now. He was able to have in contact with these people and saw the potential, no, of possible research and development projects. So this was brought to my other professor, Dr. Linda Burton, who did extensive research in the community together with Dr. 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲. I came in around 2013. That was my first. It was through an immersion during one of my professor's classes, and then that's also where I did my thesis. No, I did an ethnographic survey, and then well, I got more than what I'd expected, aside from what I wanted. So very. And then after I graduated, we still came back to the community to do some more research work, development projects from and to help this community, because the community that we are involved with in San Fernando, actually it's very still very rich, still and it's sayang if we can't do anything about reviving or preserving or developing, transitioning the indigenous their traditions to the modern lens. so so anyway, so that's why here now and I would like to share a little bit of the Matigsalog culture. No? So traditionally, they are hunter-gatherers. No? Although today they're quite modern, they're engaging into commercial farming now and also daily wage labor. But there's still a very significant number of them that are still engaged to hunting, gathering, and they are semi-nomadic. Semi-nomadic, they settle for about a year or 2 or 3. That is pertaining to there's still some Matigsalog who still do this. No, they're still semi-nomadic. They move from place to place after a harvest, after the harvest season. So they plant. They practice horticulture. Some plant sweet potatoes, different varieties of rice, which they were able to preserve a significant number of them. Native corn and many others. So after that, they move again from after the Sweden. Many of them still practice Sweden agriculture or kaingin. So yeah. So but there's also today many of them are into commercial farming, intensive farming in the area. And when it comes to belief in the belief system, despite that many of them are Christianized, different Christian churches, one belief that that brings them together is them being animists, or the belief that everything around them has a soul, has a spirit, and there are particular deities or spirits that govern them. And so rituals rituals is very central to their traditional belief system. So magbabaya and manama is how they would pertain to the supreme being. So moving forward to courtship practices, to the topic.
JC?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, JC. So actually,
sorry.
there are other comments or questions, but this is not yet. I guess we should take note of this. Okay, it will. I guess I would not be able to see this later. There is a question regarding the music and dance, the role of music and dance in precolonial courtship, and maybe JC can also answer this in the next question. And also we have these our audience we would like to recognize from the Eastern Visayas State University, Rico Monte. We have Winifreda saying makasaysayang hapon po. And we have also Lenny. And we have a question already from our on-site audience regarding the Kuradang dance. Maybe our reactor, who is an expert on dance, would be able to answer later during his reaction about the role of dance, the Kuradang dance, that is the common dance in Cebu, Bohol, and Leyte. So we'd like to recognize Welma from SDO Tapat and Jessa. So JC, our next question for you is about the courtship practices of the Matigsalog Manubo, and what are the musical instruments that they use during courtship.
Okay. courtship practices, well, in many of their decision making, it's always the elders, no, who is central to every decision making in the community. Elders and the datu as well. Well, rather, a datu is already can be considered now as an elder, or it was used to be the elders before, no? What is now known as the datu. So, when it comes to courtship practices, well, it's this is the well, okay, pinaka center, no. People will it's the elder's decision is very important. In fact, it's like sacred. So, um, the courtship could come in behalf of an elder. So, for example, if I'm an elder and I know that I have um, a grandchild, daughter or son, that is already of marrying age, I would visit a neighboring village, no? Preferably a village na in that most of the members of the village is not my blood relative, and I would look for another child of marrying age, no, and I would talk to the elder or the chief and and I would tell them that I have a I have a son, a grandson or a granddaughter who is already ready to get married. So are you? I'm going, and tomorrow I'm going to bring a horse, and horse in exchange to as a bride price, or yeah, some, and then in Shigeda, if I by the time I return, everybody is preparing for the marriage, and that's it. Dating and getting to know each other happens later. No, so yeah, that's very because these people are very keen on making sure that an agreement, especially when it comes to marriage, is already um, uh, uh, agreed upon, already fixed, and it has to be as much as possible to prevent some problems along the way. Elders, so ano siya. Next will be the parents. Parents. Parents, that includes the sisters and the brothers and the sisters of the mother and the father. So they are also considered mothers and fathers. The aunts or the aya is somewhat already uh, further degrees, no? So the parents would be the one can also be the one engaging the pagkagun or kagun, courtship, no? So the mother or the father would visit an elder or the parent, of that somebody, of the potential groom or bride, and they would either agree, they would talk about it. And it's not even straightforward, no. It could be like, for example, I will be asking my as somebody from a different village. It's usually that way, no. They go to a different place because they have a taboo on incest marriage. So it's usually the further village, or the village that they know that they don't have any relatives there. So I would go there, or during a social gathering, I would see somebody that has that a son or a daughter of marrying age, and I would ask for clothing. If I want my son to get married to his or her daughter, I would ask them for a woman's clothes, a dress. Mm. Which is actually quite strange, no, in a normal conversation, which is an indicator that I am actually telling you that I want my child to marry your child and have our families be united. So so basically the 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 child, no, or the person, the man or a woman of marrying age, in this stage doesn't really have much freedom to choose, no, or to date, because this is more on this is more driven on what's best for the family and what's best for the community. Love is a sort of a love grows somehow, no, it's a matter of planting. So the third one is, syempre, although despite the strong decisions of the elders and the parents, also the young man and the woman can also engage in courtship, no? Then it's through this courtship where the dance, the musical instruments, no, even literature is come into play, no, no siya, and yeah. So now we were going to focus on the young man and the woman. This is the interesting part here, since we're tackling. So it's through the young. When it comes to the young man and young woman themselves, there are also many ways of courting. No? So a young woman, at a certain degree, can also court a man, but not. These people are not very direct, no. But that's why they use music. They use dance, and they use their parents and their elders as well. Diba? So I'll ask my lolo to ask her lolo to marry me, to marry her granddaughter, or I'll ask my mom, or I ask my aunt to marry the child of another village, because I like her, because she works hard, and she's very she sings well and she dances well. Mhm. So yeah, so predominant one very characteristic of these people is that they're very shy. they're very shy, so that's why they have they use a third party strategy, parents, elders, like what I said earlier. And then it's through the dance and social gatherings that they would have that opportunity to show their desire to a particular person. In this photo, you would see this is a sort of like a serendipitous. This was photographed by a village chief, no, si 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲𝗁. This is one of an example of a courtship dance, no. So if a man dances with a woman, and if the woman sort of like comes closer and joins in the movement, so it means that she is also interested with a person. So ganun siya. And then so that's one of where there are many many dances, no, that can be used to express one's feelings toward one another during social gatherings, where different villages or different families come together, different how would you say, clans would come together and celebrate. Literature is also one of the modes of courtship. Poetry, unfortunately, I still have yet to know the Manobo term for their poetry, their balak in Cebuano. So it's actually quite rare. It's rare for poetry, for the Manobo spoken word. I've come across very few, and it's also only one instance, no. But according to the Datu and the elders, literature is also done, using wordplay and all. But and it's not it's not directed to the person of interest. Rather, it's directed to somebody who is related to the person. So I'm not going to say a poem about you, but I'm going to say a poem about your grandmother. I'll describe your grandmother so that when everybody listens, and they was like, why is he courting the grandmother? That the grandmother is already married and she is old. So it would come to think na, oh, okay, the grandmother has a granddaughter who's not yet married. So, okay. So we're going to call for a meeting and we're going to discuss how are we going to go about this pagkagun or courtship. What would be the bride price, the inunturan. So literature. So when you add musical instrument, when you add music, so now, it becomes the lyrics now. Then you have sounds, you have instruments, no, songs. Songs are they would use ogangan. Ogong is an improvised singing. No? The lyrics are spontaneous, then just with a um, with a constant musical sound, and then they would spontaneously craft the lyrics, no? And the same thing. So it's not. So again, the song is not going to be directed to the person of interest, but to somebody, the uncle or the aunt, no? Something in something that would sound strange, and then it's an indicator nga, oh, okay, yeah, so it's okay. So yeah, may binata pala si so he's interested to get married to the son or the daughter, the grandson or the granddaughter of the of the family. So
JC,
ma'am,
may we
yes,
already may we ask you regarding the musical instruments that they use during courtship?
Okay. Where do I start? I have with me a kuglung.
Yes.
Yeah, the kuglung. So the kuglung. Well, however, this one in particular, this arrangement of tuners, no, this is very distinct to the Tigwahanon. So when you come across this instrument with this type, a manobo instrument with this type of tuners, it's most likely that they were made by Tigwahanon people in the Namnam area in San Fernando, Bukidnon. So this is the boat kuglung, Kuglung, kuglung. This very common mistake of people, no, who have first encounters with this instrument is they would mispronounce it as kudlung, kudlung. It's not a kudlung, it's a kuglung. Kudlung is, I believe it's Mandaya. So this is which is Mandaya has a different arrangement of frets. And
JC,
tuning.
are those also horsehair at the
Yeah, horsehair.
So it's the
Yeah,
same as the higalong, because it also
Yeah.
has horsehair, and horses are very important to the indigenous peoples, right?
Yeah, same with manobo. Horses are very important. No? They're a symbol of status of a family. When you decorate horsehair to your instrument, it would be an indicator that you are well off, and at the same time, it would determine the price of the instrument.
So
So this one
how
is by
is there
traditional
also
price.
harana? Is there harana?
Harana is, well, if you look at the harana, it's the man that would visit a house of a woman and he would serenade the family or the woman. It's a harana, but it's a very indirect harana, because it's either because even if how they would sing their song, it's not directed to the woman. So basically, I don't have to look at, if I am courting you, ma'am, right now, I don't have to look at you. I'm just gonna stay on one corner. I'm just going to sing a song about your mother or your grandmother. Ganun lang siya. I'm going to describe your grandmother so that your grandmother and even your neighbors or your cousins, the cousins of your mother would wonder, why am I singing? Why am I serenading your grandmother? Or why am I um, singing a song about your grandmother or grandfather?
Okay.
Wherein
So how
it's
about that
strange.
other,
So meaning, yeah.
yes. How about that other musical instrument, the kubing in Tibuli? Do you also have it?
Yeah. Wait.
So actually, JC, if you have seen that video about kubing and higalong of the Tibuli, the resource person about that banning of the kubing was JC. He was the one who told me that there was a time that an ethnic community in Bukidnon banned the kubing, or it's kubing in Bukidnon in the Batibo.
Clubbing in
So
Manobongan.
JC, tell us about why is it banned?
Well, it's not all over Bukidnon. I believe it's in some areas that probably cause a huge trouble for a certain time, that came to a point that the elders of that community decided to ban the kubing because it created a lot of problem. So so that is why it was banned. But in among the like in communities in the hinterland parts, like in the community that I'm with, it's still alive and well. So yeah, that's how it is.
So you
So
tell me about the secret message of that song, of that music that you played.
well, it can be any music, and it can happen in a lazy afternoon, and then it's up to my hands now to tell you that I'm very interested. Ba? Yeah, so that would be that's it's only that's it's actually quite vast, and there are, I've been told by the elders and the datu that uh, they can actually in the next house, they can, as long as they can hear the kubing, they can determine the secret codes there, what they're going to do later, without telling their parents. Uh-huh. So because of that, no, when it became, or rather the courtship technique using the kubing became very, well, it was overused and abused during that period. That's why it created problems. No, there were betrothals that were broken. May mga ano siya. Yeah. And then,
So,
okay, this is the problem, so we have to stop it. Mhm.
so
Ganun.
JC, actually, when Lucien was discussing about courtship practices in the Visayas, it meant courtship for marriage. And then
Mhm.
if we read Pigafetta, or in that's 1521, we have he has uh, said about the women um, communicating with the men, or communicating is actually having sex. So the word of Pigafetta translated into English from Italian, the women would communicate with the men and they would choose the men that they would communicate with. They would only have sex with the men who have gadgets, who have those pins in their penis. And the penis word in 1521 was already utin. So it's a 500-year-old word. Your utin, our 500-year-old, it's a 500-year-old word. also the bilat actually is also a 500-year-old word, and buto is a 500-year-old word. So
More than more than it's
yes, more than
pre-colonial.
501 na okay, before the Spaniards came. So it's the women would choose the ones that they would want. Father Alcina would say that actually they can have actually sex before marriage. And but then they cannot have a child. It would be shameful if they would have a child before marriage. So is it courtship for sex or courtship for marriage? What are you talking about? So what have you just
um
discussed, Casey? Is it courtship for sex or courtship for marriage?
Siguro I'm not well, it's for me now, it's courtship for marriage. Mm. Okay, as I said earlier, they're very particular with siguro being a hunter gatherer, and also they're actually traditionally they were warlike before. They're very particular with um, being having when it comes to marriage. It's a very important or very sacred part of their code of conduct. No, when it comes to love, um, when somebody courts somebody, it's not gonna be just for sex. You're going to marry the entire clan or the entire kindred.
So that secret messages like going to the river, that what you said, that the hand gestures would say, "Oh, let's go to the river or to the forest or wherever," and then the elders would be angry. So those are courtship or not marriage yet, or marriage, they would want
Those
marriage
were
against the elders.
those were rather those were courtship for what will soon to be, because if when they get to know each other in the nearby spring, no, or in ano in the nearby foliage, uh, it's to them they've already decided that they're going to tell the family. So when they come back, they would present themselves to the village, these two people who are not related whatsoever, no, so but the fact that they are now seen together, so that's already an indicator, okay, they want to get married. The hard part there is when there's already a betrothal, and
Yes.
yeah, there's already a betrothal, so it's gonna depend now on how the elders, or how the datu is going to resolve the this what is now the issue at hand. Mhm.
So we have a
Uh,
previous question about what is the marrying age. So maybe this is a question for pre-colonial Visayas and also for the tribe, for the ethnic community that you have immersed. What is the marrying age?
uh, Marrying age is, if I'm not mistaken, it's as soon it's well, if you would calculate it now to it, because the lumads, no, they don't really count for birthdays, so it's a matter of um well, as soon as you see the signs, no, so meaning it would be around as young as 13, 14,
Yes.
or
So
even younger,
Casey,
because mhm.
also in the pre-colonial, so it's that's 13, but yeah, there is also in Pigafetta's account, he said that as early as actually the also according to the Dr. Rolando Bernaga, it is the babaylan, the healer, who prepares the women, also the girls, for marriage. Because at
Mhm.
that time, before the Spaniards came in pre-colonial Visayas and ancient Visayas, virginity is not a an asset. It
Mhm.
was it was a liability. So it was the babaylan, the healer, who would open already the the sexual organs of the girls. They would prepare it as early as 6 years old. So of course,
Mhm.
the babaylanes at that time, they were women, and also the men who dressed as women, the gays also. The healers were only the women and the gays. So we have another question here, JC, regarding the Talaandig from the National Quincentennial Committee page. How about the idea of the Talaandig Manobo putting the sword by the man? The man would put the sword at the door when he likes the woman. Is this still a practice?
I have to check that one with 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲, but to the Talaandig, leaving a blade at the door, because a blade is a man's essential tool. No, there are you would not see a manobo in his area, in his village, without carrying a knife or an ogpit or a body or a bolo. No? So if he expresses his intention to marry, he would just leave a, 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 a blade at the door, indicating an intention. Why did you leave your blade at the door? Because it's very important. You're willing to risk your life.
Yes.
You're willing to without a blade. So
Yes,
what does that mean?
Yes, it's also amazing that that was also the practice of precolonial Visayans. So it's written also by historians that leaving the pinuti or the weapon by the door is also a practice for courtship and marriage. So now we would like to ask you, JC, our next question regarding because you wanted to share this, the bride stealing.
Okay, sige.
The bride stealing among the Manubo and Talaandig. I mean the Manubo Matiksalog.
The bride kidnapping or bride stealing, it's the conflict on courtship, no, bride kidnapping. That's one of the from the conflicts or the problems on marriage. It's again, no, if somebody expresses an interest in a woman, it's either she's already married or she's about to be married. She will have this he will have this attempt rather on either he would if he's wealthy enough, he can pay off the family of the bride and the groom before marriage and then steal the wife, or he would kidnap the bride entirely, and they would either he would hide her deep in the forest and then consummate it there, parang have children there. So and that's one of the reasons, or rather the main reason why we were discussing that it's the courtship it's decided by the elders and the parents, and there's no in between, no, there's no dating or sa walay uyab-uyab sa Binisaya pa, diretso na pag nakagusto ka minyo dayon, because they're trying to this is because this was one of the problems before, no? Bride kidnapping, bride stealing. And another one is being eloping. I like you, but you're already betrothed. But are you willing to marry him, or do you wanna live with me? I cannot afford 5 horses. I can only afford 1. So why don't we elope? And they would go to the forest and they would hide, and probably live the rest of their lives in hiding. Yeah. So these two breaks the betrothal, if there's any betrothal happening, no? Or breaks the betrothal, and it creates a very violent outcome, no? Very violent outcome between mga Manobo families, and it has
Even if the woman is already married, then the man, if he likes the woman, he would kidnap the woman.
Yeah. There are stories, no? There are stories told Na,
So
ano.
even if even if the woman wouldn't agree, so she would be kidnapped against her will, or it would just
Yeah,
happen if she also agrees.
both. Usually when you say bride kidnapping, it's more often you are stealing the bride against her will. But there are also stories that that uh, the man would steal the wife, or parang it's more of an eloping than bride kidnapping now. Mhm. Or bride
Yes.
stealing.
Yes.
But all of these conflicts in courtship, no, it's have very violent results. Mhm.
So would there be wars?
It's gonna be a bloody conflict. One being, they would it's either the bagani or the bagani or bahani is going to be called to search, to find, the perpetrators, or to find the violators of this sacred ritual, or this sacred part of their life, no. Parang ganun siya. If if not, then it has to be in a just exchange, no.
Yes.
Or it yeah.
Yes, I would like to share with you also that when I researched about the writings of Father Alcina, he also mentioned about, he was actually scandalized because um, there was much divorce in the Visayas. The women or the man could choose to separate from his wife or his husband at the slightest cause or reason. So and of course, as if the woman would be the one to want separation, she would be giving back the dowry, or that's bugay in the past, because in the past also, the women of those women, of the noble class, had no choice on whom to marry. It is the elders who would choose. Only, according to Dr. Rolando Bernaga also, only the free and the slaves, the women who were of the slave family, or the Maharlika family, would be able to choose whom they would want to marry. So the noble class, the daughters like the Binokot, who were hidden from the public for a long time, so they would also be, their elders or the parents would be the ones to choose whom they will marry. But 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 Father Alcina also mentioned about that woman, a very beautiful woman, Bubong Hamasa, someone from Bohol, who was demanding things, so many things from the suitor who came from Leyte, Araha from Leyte. And she was demanding so many things to be given to her, for her to agree to get married to the man. And then there was also this story about also a beautiful, taghang guwapa sa Bohol, a beautiful woman from Bohol. She was already married. And someone from Albay, a dato from Albay, came with all his weapons and ships to show to the woman that he is the right person, the right man to choose. So I remember that when you said about bride stealing, because so even if the woman was already married, another man wants to win her over. But the woman, of course, that woman from Bohol loved her husband, and the ships and the weapons were no match to the weapons also, and the armaments of her husband. So of course she chose to remain with her husband. So you were mentioning about that. So that's bride stealing. So I would like to
Mhm.
ask you, if there was bride stealing, if there is bride stealing even until now, can there be groom stealing? Is there groom stealing?
Groom stealing. Groom stealing.
Groom stealing. Groom stealing.
I'm not really, I haven't encountered stories about that.
So
Although,
the woman cannot steal a man.
hmm, no, I haven't encountered that one so far. Although there was, ano ba? No, I
You said
haven't.
that the woman can court a man through music. You said
Uh,
she
they
cannot
can
steal
somehow court. It's not, well, if I were to correct, it's not, well, it's court in a way, but not courting per se. It's more of like expressing her interest to the man. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
Tayo,
So,
pero
would you
pero
say
there
okay.
yeah, pero there's
Continue.
also pero there are cases that pero it's also part na the family of a woman would give ano ba? How would you say a bride price to the groom? I've experienced that, no, because I have a good friend in the community. He's young and he's single and he's a very hard worker. And what happened, Marag, when people started to realize, no, that he was really a very industrious young man in the village, the family was the family of the there was a family, no, but it's not the woman that expressed interest to the well, at least I didn't know that, but it was the family of the family that went into the family of the man and gave gave a price, a groom's price, if you will. No, and they gave him horses and rice. The family we were given the family of the man horse, rice, in order for the
Okay.
family to accept, to unite their son, their child to the woman of another village. So
So
that
JC
that
is
that, that
saying,
happened.
so JC, you're saying that it is not the woman who would directly express her intentions to marry someone else. She would have her parents or elders do that for her. So there is a comment also here from our on-site audience regarding winning a woman. So they were mentioning about the Helen of Troy. So and then what else? So there is a comment here also from the NQC page when I said about groom stealing. I think pa-joke naman si mom. So it is a joke, but then in our discussion about the sex lives of pre-colonial Cebuanos 2 years ago, before the pandemic, in February 2020, according to our panel, our resource person, Buboy Costas, who has this as his paper in a Cebuano heritage course in the University of San Carlos, he said that it was the woman who would choose who will she choose to have sex with. Like she would show a tobacco or a tobacco, and she would show how tall or how, and she would show she would show how long or how the gadget the this so so she would show it something like it was discussed 2 years was that 2020 was 2 years ago, the sex lives of pre-colonial Cebuanos. She would show how what she likes, like the gadgets that she likes. So of course, if the man doesn't have that measurement or those gadgets, so the men here are laughing. We have more men in this Koan gathering. So that's how free. That's the women before the Spaniards came. They can choose whom they like, but not those of the noble class. So that's why, according also to Father Asina, they would separate for the slightest reason, like the partner is not productive, the partner is not hardworking, or she's not satisfied, or he's not satisfied. So they would they would have they would have divorce at that time. So now, JC, there is a question for you. How to tune the string instrument? Can you show us, Daphne? What's the tuning? And then there is also a question: the difference between kuglong and the kujapit. If you can answer it.
I'm going to I'm going to I'm going to tie my plug. Uh
So you're going to show us really, not just talk about it. How to
well,
tune.
I'm the instrument is with me, so the two string here, to the kuglong of the manobo of Bukidnon. The first the melodic string, the melodic string, the melody lands on a D-ish, and the drone string, it lands on a G.
for Daphne, if you want to have a tutorial, maybe you could schedule a tutorial, kuglung tutorial, online tutorial later. So it's just they have it also has tuning pegs, right? JC,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this
His
is
own tuning pegs.
uh,
This
so
is
now
this kuglong is tigwahanon manobo, not matigsalog. Mm-mm.
sige. So
But
for
same,
the
same, same
difference
thing.
between kuglung and kudyapi, we haven't
Kudya,
actually seen a real kudyapi.
yeah, a kudyapi or a kutyapi is more of or it's more in the in Bangsamoro area. Kudyapi is the the Kudyapi now in Cotabato, in Sultan Kudarat, among the Maguindanaos is actually quite popular today. Popularized by Samaon Solaiman, the late Samaon Solaiman. So it's an entirely different. It's still pentatonic. It's still two string, but the arrangement is entirely different. Mhm. And there's also a Kotyapi, a Maranao Kotyapi, which is very, very rare. No, and it also has very different arrangements of the frets and the tuning of the string. Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's
Daghang salamat, JC. We have these reactions from the audience. We have also someone from Mikaela Tumamaw watching from Mayor Simplicio Manalo National High School is the Otapat, and reaction from our on-site audience who commented online. I heard Ferdinand Ascaraga. I heard Ubangkaw used in the Visayas. Pamamangkaw. For courtship, mamangkaw ka? The bangkaw for the house. You place the bangkaw at the house of the one you're courting or you want to marry. And then also Tyrone from Tyrone Santos, happy Valentine's Day po, watching from Mayor Simplicio Manalo National High School. So, JC, we have more questions for you. Stay tuned for JC's discussion of the sex practices of the Matigsalog Manubo. And then, thank you, JC. We have this question now for Lucien Litaba, our Visayan musician. He is also from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee in Music. And we want him to discuss the influences of this traditional Visayan courtship form, balitaw and smiling.
Okay, thank you. Before I discuss the influences, the Spanish influences, colonial influences in courtship, among the Visayans, let us discuss about dance. Music playing and music singing, singing among the Visayans was not exclusive to singing, to music. Dance was always integrated with the singing and the playing of the instruments. This was evident in Alcina's chronicle when he showed an illustration of a pair of dancers. Notice the elaborate costume, and then of course the saya, the turban, the putong of the woman and the male dancer, and he uses a handkerchief or a handkerchief in his hands. So he called this kigal, which was a dance, the danza de hombre y mujer, so dance between a man and a woman. Now, let's take a look at this video. This is a documentation of a dance form in northern Mindanao, particularly the Babawan tribe. Okay, notice the strong semblance, not only of the costumes used here, but the dance steps. No? So this is actually a duo pair of dancers performing Di Babawan tribe of Kapulong Davao del Norte. So so if we're going to analyze the evolution of the poetry in Bicol and Balak, the Bicol and Balak, and then the Kigal, that's the dance form with music, plus the singing. So when this was Hispanized, this particular form, this was the byproduct, the amoral, or late more known as Ismailing, no? Song which combines song, poetry, and dance. No? This is actually a courtship piece. There's a song, there's the singing. No, of course, the singing has a narrative of it's a courtship, it's a joust, musical joust, no? And there is dancing, called the amoral or smiling. So let's talk about the smiling, which is actually the counterpart in Central Visayas Balitaw. So it's poetry, song, and dance. What are the properties of this form? Song is lyrical, is strophic, meaning there's no chorus. No, the melody is the same in all the verses or stanzas, usually in 3/4 time signature, and is accompanied by instruments, guitar, bandurria, bajo de arco. Dance is uses the 3/4 or triple time signature. Dancing is foot sway balang. So, folk dance. Okay, hand sway, and then the foot movement is sway balance. Spontaneous, meaning there was no script, there was nothing to memorize. No, so the text of the Ismailing and Balitaw depended on what the performers wanted to say. No, like because it's courtship, so it's actually a dialogue, no, between the performers. The theme is, of course, courtship is about love. No, there is also an employment of humor, kinship, meaning to say, in the text, no, of the Balitaw and Ismailing, the other members of the family, the nanay, tatay, even the dadak or the aunts, and even the community, they were involved. They were mentioned. So why the song in such a courtship form? They use song to disguise the intimate sentiments of courtship. It reduces the embarrassment involved in meeting potential mates. Meaning to say, maybe the Visayans were shy people, no? Mauwawon or mahiyain. No? That's why ang ilang shield to these guys to hide the shyness is through the song. No? As they're able to express themselves more effectively by singing. So kinship, and note that there are values, integrated in the lyrics: courtesy, industry, perseverance, obligation, and loyalty. Okay, here's a sample of the Smiling. Maupay. So here it goes. I'll sing it. No? Maupay nga oras sa iyutan, balay tagbalay ug diri akong hahatagan. Bintahan tawo nga may katalahuran, paghatagin gusto kay kapatasan. So this the Smiling starts with an introduction, no? Usually a courtesy, mayong buntag, or good day. And then the second stanza is usually the purpose. Why is he there? Why is he performing, the Smiling with the lady he wants to court? Anakong pagkanhihayo ka, lipay anakong gin, balon bendisyon ni nanay. Antugon ni nanay ayaw paki, suhay kay makaarawod, aning mga sangkay. So the second stanza says that I'm here not for because I have a purpose, and then I'm here because I was permitted by my mother. So and then it also yung diligence na my mother said that I should never misbehave, no, because it's not good to misbehave, no, especially with your friends. So sasagot na mo tubag na the female partner will now answer. Lastimada, no, this is the still the male. Lastimada widay pagkaptako badu waray nang siserbi di sinunga pugto. Kumutuhan patud kumatuhan dada di samaha imo away ko pagkita. Lastima is it's an expression, so he wants to hold the dress of the female, the woman, because he's playing like miserable, no? Because I have nobody to go to. No, I was driven away by my brother, by my cousin, by my auntie, so the whole family, no, involved in the song. Because it is you that I am more comfortable with. Then the woman would reply, pastilan daw manu tagading ka ba amo paman, manla ko nga impunita. Ito ni mo irong, ito ni mo, babana nila, ikagod kanadangkan, iba. So it's describing na the lady says, where are you from? Why is it that this is the only time I saw you? And then it's very physical. He mentioned about the nose of the man, and then the mouth, that you look like Adam, no? Adam, because the lady is supposed to be Eve. So there are a few more stanzas here, verses. Lastimada iday kay buyo ka daw na destinado, akong pagpasalana. Dili ka na diday tatanun ha, tunatatanong ka gala muna. So this exchange of witty remarks, no? And the lyrics goes on and on and on and on until the lady decides. So if he's convinced, no, that the man who is courting him, no, deserves her love, no, so he would say she would say yes. So let us analyze the text property of the smiling. So lyrical flow, it starts with an introduction, polite greeting. Maupay nga oras ay ito pala good morning, household, and then purpose. And akong pagkanihayo kalipay. The reason why I am here because I want to court the lady with the permission, no, from the parents and the whole family. And then the romantic rebuttal starts. So what is being tackled during this part? Servitude. So the man would say, I will do everything. I will plant trees, no, I will plant banana so we could survive. How to support the family? So he would convince the lady that he will support the family, you know, by farming, etc. Attitude, praising, supplication, pitiful. So the drama of the man usually is pitiful, no? So in a way, in that way, he could win the heart of the woman. So crucial, the man's ability to persuade. So the whole piece of the smiling is very decisive, no? And it depends on the man's ability to persuade. So he uses a lot of figurative phrases, no? That's why Alcina called is the science of this abundance of metaphors, no, in their lyrics. And then in the end, submission. Love, winning love is submission. You submit, no? Okay. This is an example of a present day contemporary smiling during an activity by the National Commission for Culture.
Daghang salamat, Lucien, for the discussion about Balitaw. It's a courtship form that developed during the Spanish period and with the Spanish influences also. And Balitaw, which is in central, the term here is in central Visayas is Balitaw, but in eastern Visayas, it is smiling. So, of course, this also refers, Father Francisco Alcina would say that regarding poetry, almost all poetry were sung. So Balitaw is poetry. It's a it's a lyrical debate. It is a courtship form. It's a song and dance form. The man and the woman are singing the verses because according to Father Francisco Asina, almost all poems, usually the poems were sung. So the poets were also singers. And we have poets here. Are you also singers? And then, so we are going to show you in a while also another example of a balitaw. So before that, there are questions from our audience. So I don't know if so this is a question. Maybe JC can answer this in a while regarding the bride price. So in pre-colonial Visayas, the bride price, the dowry is usually called bugay. Bugay. The question is the practice that the elder or the dato arrange the marriage? JC said that it's still done until now in indigenous communities in Mindanao. Since music and musical instruments in some extent has no financial value, so so Giovanni, may you clarify your question regarding this? So you're saying that the music has no financial value, so the parents or the elders really choose the one with the financial capacity rather than with music capability. So we have also a question here. We have also a comment here from Ferdy. And there was a question before this about is polygamy is if there was if the community or the society before the Spaniards came was matriarchal or patriarchal. So that was also tackled in our previous discussions. One socio-anthropology professor, Dr. Zona Amper, was saying that women had more freedom before the Spaniards came. And also, it was discussed, we have been discussing that the men and women had different roles in pre-colonial Visayas. Like women were the only ones who were religious leaders. They were the ones who would tell the dato on what to do during war. They would be the ones to pray before wars. Before we can eat pork in the past, there should be a babaylan who would do a ritual. When a dato would die, there would be women who would do rituals for them to be buried. Or so of course also the warriors were the men. The dato usually were women, but we have also heard of some leaders in community who are also women. So like Princess Urduha and some others. So we could not really label right now. Maybe we would ask our anthropologists to if they already have a label for the society before the Spaniards came. What our like Dr. Escalante of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines in last year forum, this like February 14 last year said that it was more an egalitarian society where women had also a role, had equal opportunities with men. Of course, because of the woman. So there is this question from Ferdi Aparticio: was polygamy part of the pre-colonial practices? So if you would read also the Palmgrass has published a book, A Short History of Cebu from 1500s to 1800s, and also that's from 𝗟𝗟𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 𝗟𝘂𝗏 had many wives. When he was baptized to be a Christian, he was told by the Spaniards, the friars, to lose his other wives. And he was reluctant in doing it. Of course, the nobles or those, the dato, had more financial capacity to have dowry, right? So to be married, you have to have dowry. So he was scared of being laughed at by the other men if he would only have one wife. So so that's one account, and it is written in the book based from archival documents. So, but it's polygamy. A man has many wives, depending on his capacity to have dowry, and then also. But we would like to ask JC regarding the practices now of the indigenous peoples, if there is polygamy by the man or by the woman. And so there is a question also, I guess this is for JC, about how to use the kubing. So we will have JC in a while. Before that, so we would take note of these questions about how to play the kubing. And then Daphne is saying thank you that she is all able to listen to how the instruments, the indigenous musical instruments are played, because she tried to go to a museum, but most of the instruments cannot be played. They are not functional. So, so 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶, our also from a cultural group, the youth cultural group, says that Balitao is also mentioned in the lyrics of Rusas Pandan. And Rusas Pandan is a Visayan song that is very popular even abroad. It is sung by choral groups abroad, Rusas Pandan. And then maybe the reason why the Visayan lyrics of the said folk song is about a man liking a woman. I would like to ask if you know of any other Visayan song that falls under the Balitao genre. So of course, an exchange between a man and a woman, witty, expressing love, it's Balitao, like Pasayawa Kuday. Who wants to sing Pasayawa Kuday? Ako di kumukanta. Pasayawa Kuday, sayaw lang sa uban. Ikaw may gusto ko. So for those who are Tagalog, so Pasayawa Kuday is a very popular Visayan song. It is an exchange between a man and a woman. Pasayaw, I want to dance with you. Just dance with someone else. The answer of the woman is just dance with someone else. And the man would say, it is you that I would like to dance with. So, say answer, sayaw lang sa uban. Ikaw may gusto ko. Nganong ako nga naa may uban. Why me when there are others? So nagpalugit siya. It's pakibot by the woman. Or she really doesn't like him. So we have also a song at Palmgrass, like it won in the Cebu Pop, the 39th Cebu Pop Music Festival. It's Hugot Pasuot, tighter than tight, tighter than thought. Hugot Pasahot is also an exchange between a man and a woman in rap and musical tune. So now we would like to ask, stay tuned for our trivia quiz with prizes, and also for this discussion later of JC about the sex practices of the indigenous peoples. So now we would like to have again Lucien to discuss about the acculturation process of the introduction of the Western musical forms and instruments in the Visayas.
Okay, thank you. So when the native instruments were disappeared, no, readily the Spaniards had something to offer, and these are the instruments from the West. No? So the first instruments that were introduced were actually instruments of what we call today the rondalia. So we have here the image of the instruments that we use in a rondalia, an image. The first instrument to the left is the bajo de uñas or bajo de arco. We have the guitar, of course, the loud, octavina, and the smallest one, the bandurria. No? So notice the next frame is, though you can see now those instruments. So slowly the acculturation process now was to let the natives handle the instruments that they introduced in this picture, in this image, the instruments in a rondalia. And there is, notice that at the back, there is a trainer. No? So when before it was communal, the playing of the instruments, the singing, the dancing were communal. This time there is a trainer. Of course, definitely because they're using new instruments, no, new to them, new to their sight, new to their the manner of playing instruments. So the package was to have a trainer to teach them how to play these instruments. Okay, so if we're going to compare the musicality of the natives and their musicality after we were colonized, and a new music forms were introduced by the Spaniards. So here is a comparison. So I used here the clip of the Kablit tribe, and another clip here of the Spanish influence of a group which plays some instrument found in a rondalia. But it is not, this is a small scale rondalia in some communities in Central Visayas. They are called the comparsa. So there's all this, the slap bass is still there. There's a banjo, particularly this is an American instrument, and the guitar is still there, and of course the banduri. Okay.
Okay.
Know that the music of the prehistoric people used free meter, so not organized values of notes. Use this two-string lute. They use the dabakan and four-tone or pentatonic scale. Whereas the comparison Okay, so while the comparsa uses the 3/4 meter or time signature or triple time signature, they use most of the instrument are from 4 to 6 strings. They use the Western diatonic tonal scale, meaning to say ang 14 tonal scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And time signature is consistent with some dance form or rhythms like the hota or the danza.
Daghang salamat, Lucien. So that was the discussion of Lucien about how the Spaniards, the Western musical forms, were introduced to the natives in our islands. So we have this last question for Lucien, and then we would like to have again JC in a while. So we would like to ask Lucien regarding the songs as expressions of love. Please elaborate on the songs as expressions of love in all levels of relationships.
Okay. Thank you. So on the music side, no, so songs, what's the difference between the traditional harana or even the smiling balita, the traditional harana, and the present songs, love songs of the millennials? No? So I'll let you listen to 2 tracks. The first one is Waray, and the other one is Cebuano. The first track is entitled Salamiraw, or In My Imagination. The next track is Cebuano, Pahuway.
Mahiparuan mo na, di na maghulat san sangpit ko, kay napahuway naman, dugan ko nga samaran, maihanaw na imo ginbayaan. Nga nag-aantos pa, ikahatag nga tanan para la sa iya. Naglalaom ka pa, nga siya mabalik pa sa imo. Waray sakit ka, suntok sa bulan, suntok sa bulan.
Kanunay nangitaw, tubig ang yuta, sama po ning gugma ko. Nga kanunay nangamho, mahimamat kong damgo, maangkon ko ang gugma mo. Kay sama ko sa balod, sa lawod, na nagatang. Tadun munta ko ning hangin paingon sa imong lapyahan. Ug dili ako maibutan, ug dili ikaw akong kauban, ug dili ako mailuna, ug dili ikaw sa akong tupad. Kanunay karon puhon kanimo rako mo pahuway.
While the harana, the smiling, is more positive approach in winning the love of the woman. The generation, the millennial generation today, they focus more on angst and pain, and well, they call it hugo. That's why in this song, it develops musically. It develops from slow, simple, and then it goes up. It graduates to a more emphatic expression, or yes, expression of the issue at hand. So there, pain, angst, the problem, they discuss, they express about the problem of the relationship, rather than, well, more positive approaches. Well, there are tracks that deal with this angle of in courtship and love, but mostly these tracks today that we listen on Spotify and other software are based on issues, angst, pain, separation. There you go.
Daghang salamat, Lucien. So in a while, I would like to ask the youth here if you agree with Lucien. We want you to tell us about the songs that you like, the songs that you use when you court, the girls that you like. So we have young people here. You should be able to tell us, to give your inputs about what really the youth like, what music does the youth like right now? Because we are old people. Of course, JC is not old. He is also a millennial, but he is more conversant on the indigenous people's music. So the youth here, the Cebuanos here, the Cebuano men, most of our audience right now are men. So you should tell us about your courtship method, or if you still use songs to court. So we invite you to, what is this tablia cake? So we have the snacks right now, tablia, your favorite tablia cake with with uh with a heart. Tablia cake with a heart, small heart at the side. So this is a tablia Valentine cake. What is our cake of the month? Our cake of the month is gugma yarn. Gugma yarn. Gugma is gugma. That's love. Gugma yarn. And then our cake of the month is strawberry and with basil. So you should try it. So this is now the question, the most awaited question for JC. What are the sex practices in the Matigsalog Manubo? But before you answer that, may we have JC. There is a question for you, JC, from our youth from Kulturang Sugpuanon. She is asking regarding how to play the kubing. So she's asking if there is a there are notes when playing the kubing. How do you do it? What what parts of your mouth and hands do you use? So can we have JC, bigger of JC?
Um, well, to play the kubing, well, that's but one as I observed it, no, it's only one. It only has one note, but you can actually explore on the depth, no, using your mouth cavity, even until the throat. Then you can breathe through it to have another. If you don't have, no, if you don't if you don't breathe on the instrument, then it would create a different sound. And then if you add breath, it has an entirely different sound. So, and then in the Matigsalog of Bukidnon, they're fond of using of opening their cavity until this area when combined. No? So I'm holding it with these fingers. No, it's like trying to in an attempt to somehow amplify it a bit, but some would hold it this way. Some would even hold it this way. Yeah.
JC,
That's
show
how
us again that music you did about when you want to say, "I want you to go with me to the river." So the message is, "I want you to
It's
go with me to the river because I like you."
Kuan raman that I like your raman to ma'am. The river kay murag unsa na to.
Sige. Again, that.
Pero the hand gestures, no, I collected it from different elders. Even primarily I got it from the 𝗟𝗂𝗯𝗶𝗯. But seems that there are similarities sa other datus and elders, no.
Okay. So now explain the gestures. So,
This is
come.
hey you, I
Oh,
see
yeah.
you, I love you, charot.
So hey you, you. So
Parang
the
ano siya, this is to catch attention, Pat. So I
you.
can
Then I
and
love
then
you here
I
at the chest. We go to the river. Do you do your hand like that?
Abay kung asa abay suba.
We
Kay
go.
napaman kay there's also you would also but also there's also some gestures that will pertain to the time of the day.
Time.
I don't know which one, and then the place. It's all in
Okay.
the hands. It's all in the hands.
So CM, I hope that you're satisfied with the demonstration of JC on how to play the kubing. And of course, there's only one note, but different ways of holding it. And 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 how do you do that? How- and and tapping it, and and opening your mouth and breathing into it. So there should be a tutorial for this. So because it's a 500-year-old musical instrument, the musical instrument par excellence, the best musical instrument between lovers, because this instrument would kind of have secret, would facilitate secret communication between the lovers. This is available at Palmgrass Sinugatan. Gifts from Cebu made really by the Tibuli from the Lake Cebu. And he also draw a palm grass on the on the kubing that he made for us. 50 pieces in 2 days. So they are very good in making the kubing. So now, JC, so the people are now excited to know about but there is also a question, but I think you cannot answer it. If linakaran is a practice by the indigenous peoples, kay the older people has this the grandparents would tell CM that there's a practice about linakaran. It means that if you get married, if a younger sibling gets married ahead of the older sibling, the younger one would pay the older sibling. So is this a practice in the in the indigenous peoples?
I actually raised that question to the Datu. It seems that it's if it's still practiced, it's very very rare because uh, the by the time actually by the time that if you're born or by the time you were born, by the time you were ano uh, ano you're already somehow being groomed, no? And then there's already this when it comes to marriage, there's already um, parang a code or a law. So if somebody is interested in your younger, so it's either uh, you might as well parang you might as well wait for the elder sister to get married, or else you will marry the elder sister.
So,
and and then you have to work hard so that you can marry the younger sister.
so if the man would want to marry the younger sister, he would have to convince the elders or the parents that it is the one that he likes.
The clear parang the easy solution for that is you marry the elder sister first. And
Okay.
then when
So
you
the
can afford,
question
then you marry the elder sister, and then later on you marry the younger sister.
is allowed to have is polygamy is
Yeah,
the term for that is polygamy?
yeah. Polygamy or polygyny is a practice. But today, modern it's parang it's going out of fashion. Although there are still um uh, uh families that have one husband and two, even three wives. And then there are extremely rare cases that there's one husband and have five wives. And
One.
usually these are unified. And then it's often that these are the wives are related, either sisters or first cousins, second cousins.
And
It's yeah.
you mentioned also about the like one woman with two husbands.
Yeah, that's extremely rare case. Um, Parang it's case very it has to go through this process of assessment na the first the husband which has been a very good father and a very good provider to the family suddenly fell ill and could no longer recover. Mm-mm. So and then now that he is already very ill, the family is now going to it's going through a lot of problems because they don't have a provider anymore. The mother can only do so much, but the mother cannot divorce, or rather the mother is not willing, or the wife is not willing to divorce his weak husband. So the solution is she will have to remarry, but she will have to retain the first husband. And it's and often it's the most practical is the closest kin. So it's either a sibling, a younger sibling, or a first cousin. Mhm. So that it's still going to be a relationship between two families. It's
Okay. So there is a comment from Jay. And then for record, can we have a file of this Huyup Kablit? Yes, we have this in our videos at Pamgar sa Cebu Heritage Hotel. Jay wants a playlist for our videos, or playlist for the kubing. I guess for our videos. And then hey you, I see you, I love you. So Marie was writing the words of what you were playing, the gestures. Hey you, I see you, I love you. Nice, so sweet. Heart. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's ko no, JC, from Marie. Then JC is dili na ni siya single thing, I guess. He has in a relationship na ni si JC. Sorry.
bayad na.
Nakabayad na kag Dory? Wala pa.
Tunay kabayo sa bukid.
Put a spear. Nanay sundang sa balay? Wala pa. Wa pa gihapon.
Nanay bangkaw, nanay kabayo gahulat, to anay
You
abakahan
have
didto.
already prepared a horse. Okay. And William is saying gilakaran is still practiced not by but in the rural mountainous areas in Negros. It is traditionally practiced even now. So in rural areas, linakaran, that the older sibling should be the one to get married first. So now, JC, this is now the very interesting question. What are the sex practices of the ethnic group Matigsalog Manubo?
Oh dear, this is a very anyway, I'll try to be as as possible.
So JC, did
Ah,
you already ask the elders that they would tell us about this?
oh, gapo nang gitagaag link ang dato ani ma'am. Hinaot dili ko masala ani charot.
Okay.
Anyway, uh, according to the discussions with the datu and having that opportunity, when everybody is comfortable and everybody in the community is being very fond of, I know they're already discussing these internet topics. To sum it all up, no, like how they acquire inspiration from nature in their art, in their clothing, in their carving, and the woodworking, in their ethnography. They said that it also goes with pag-agaray or lovemaking. No, everything
Pag-agaray.
is pag-agaray. So they got their tips from nature as well on how, especially when couples are already in their in the long in their marriage, and they're trying to keep the fire alive. So they would discuss that just like our artworks, our batak, and our patterns, and how we got our inspiration from nature. So it's also that in when we experiment on sex, we also got our inspiration with nature. No, so they would get inspiration from the domesticated animals, like the carabao and the dogs and the horses, even the chickens. I don't know how they would do that, but that's what they said. And also the wild, no, the wild in the wild. So the deer, the boar, the birds, even snakes. So they take inspiration from this. No, it's up to the audience now to imagine how it's going to be done. But pero that's the discussion that we were
JC,
giggling about.
JC,
Yes.
JC, do anthropologists also draw? Like in your research, do you draw what you have studied about?
We take notes. We draw if necessary.
So there should
But
be
we
a
take
drawing
critical.
in the future for this.
Drawing is unfortunately wala drawing, ma'am. Sorry.
How is
ano kay
deer,
it's
boar?
siya. Basta kay if you can observe how a deer would mate and how a boar would mate, then yeah, if whatever humanly possible you can mimic it, then that's it.
So
Even the sounds.
so they would also have sounds, like the
Oh, they would
animal.
also mimic sounds, yeah.
Is it the same as how like a boar would sound? So when the
Mm-mm.
position is
How a
of that of
carabao
a
would
boar,
sound.
we are now in a boar position, boar style. This is the boar style. So the sounds would also. What is the sound of a boar, JC?
Din wag ko maka-record ana ma'am.
So the deer. What's the position of the deer?
Ah, sa din ako ka.
We had a boar
So,
kung the pigs. We had a piggery before. I saw that a
mm-mm.
boar would.
Ang
It's
figure of
over the
boars,
female.
I would believe it's more straightforward na
Ang boar?
and a deer is
A deer.
a boar rather. It's more straightforward nga what we considered as the dog the dog position. But the dog position has another position from the so it goes that way and then goes that way, the dog. So the boar is just this one. Mhm. So the
So
deer is
the boar is over the female. Then the dog
boar
is
is over the
over the female, and
female,
then
and then back to back.
back to back.
Uh,
So I would like to share with you. Do you still have other animals here that you would like to
wala na.
share? Mura to?
That's
How about the birds?
samples na
What is
samples.
the position of the birds? Male, female, up.
Kuan,
The
well,
roosters. How about for the frogs? The same?
Frogs.
They're
Yeah,
so
pero
knowledgeable. There should
yeah.
be a drawing. Though the elders, do the elders teach there is there sex education for the young people for them to know about how to, but you mentioned about they know about how to, you mentioned that in our rehearsal you mentioned that the indigenous peoples know about how to, like how to maximize pleasure in sex. You said that. What did
It's
you say?
ano, that was ano, it's ano, it's relating to ano, to, well, pleasure wise, it's up to the creativity and exploration of ano, how nature animals did it, no. uh, so kasi they don't use uh I don't know, supplements or enhancements, herbal medicine or attachments like how our Visayan ancestors did. No, they don't. They because the Manobos, they don't. They're more. They believe in rituals, and they believe that sickness is a spiritual violation. You violated a certain law of nature, and it will be healed through ritual. Although there are some herbs, but it's more often that they would rely on rituals. Although today, syempre, it's already, they would really um, prioritize on medical science. So you have to go to the doctor first. If the doctor cannot cure you, maybe it's not a physical, so you have to be healed through ritual. So no herbs, no medicine during uh, pag-agaray or lovemaking, and also no attachments, no instruments or no um, implements that you would use, to enhance uh, pleasure. So it's just creativity. It's just creativity. Yeah, nature is your provider for. Nature provides for ano for sexual pleasure, so to speak. Mm. And you have the in so you can go from the very straightforward to the more creative, trying to mimic as much as possible the details and the nuances of how animals do mate with each other.
So this is really animal sex. So with the sounds, we should learn how. So they would sound like birds. Also, now we will
Yeah, they
have
would sound
birds.
birds.
Okay, fun. We will imitate the birds. Then they will also sound like birds, chirping,
Oo.
and also the
So, what
the
I
dog.
what I what I was able to catch is the Carabao, when they
You've seen
experimented on
really
Carabao.
in
Ano
real
siya? They were talking.
IRL.
They were talking about how they were so if yung Carabao, so they would say the Carabao has a sound in its, the usual sound that it makes, their moo sound, and then when they do it, it's different. It's more of a no, no. So yeah, that's a glimpse.
So so JC, I would like to tell you, like the Boxer Codex also mentioned about the gadgets that were used in the pre-colonial Visayans, and then also those pins, those rings, and then
Mm-mm.
it's like gold, it's made of gold or made of brass, and then so
Mm-mm.
you said that the Manobo doesn't have that right now. So in the
Doesn't
past,
have that, or rather they don't, it's not permitted. It's not something that they are willing to explore, because the maybe it's probably has something to do with them being survivalists, as what used to be a semi-nomadic people. So it has to be something, parang it has to be as it is, as pure and as natural as it is. Probably there might be some fears going about it, basig malihian sa pilok sa kanding ba karon o
So,
makuan sa unsa nga tambal-tambal because they have to have as much as possible a very pure and very natural from sex to pregnancy to childbirthing. Yeah, it might they have that fear, so they don't engage in exploring attachments, golden studs or whatever, what have you.
So in our discussion last year, we had this discussion. So we have been discussing this for already 3 Valentine's Day. So since 2020, 2021, and 2022. So now we have discussed music with courtship and sex. So last year, Baxter Codex mentioned about, so we discussed this last year, that they really have like rings, and of course the babaylanes would also be the healers, the ones who would attach those. So we mentioned that there was already circumcision even before the Spaniards came. So it was an old practice, the circumcision. So of course the healers, also the babaylanes, were doing this. So it is also mentioned in the Baxter Codex. It's a manuscript done by the Spaniards who came here, that it was really forbidden. Those gadgets were forbidden by the Spaniards, by the Spanish missionaries. They would really punish the natives that were caught, or if they would know that they used gadgets during sex, they would be punished. The man and the woman would be punished, but then they would say the men and the women would really do it even if they would be punished. And they also have this possession that they would be joined like dogs from night until morning. And the women like it so much. So the dog possession is the same as the indigenous peoples now. So that's the only similarity. But the gadgets it's not the same.
It's different,
They
yeah,
don't.
because coastal, the Cebuanos are more coastal and lowland, and then the natives were more in the hinterland. The Manobos are more hinterland people, and then so it has something to do with how they survive, since again they're more semi-nomadic, and they uh, they're survivalist as compared to the lowland people who are already more or flourishing, no? More opulent because of trading and exchanges of ideas from different areas. So mas,
Yes.
so
Because
simpler and
also there were also these gadgets. There were also gadgets found same as what was used by the early Visayans. These were also used in other areas in Southeast Asia. So there could have been exchanges on those things. So our last question, we would have, stay tuned for the trivia quiz with prizes. Those online would also be able to win. Like if you will claim it when you come to Cebu and come to Palmgrass, or you will be able to claim it also if 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 we can send it to you. If the item can be sent to you, we can send it also. So our question for you, JC, in relation to music and courtship, how does the ethnic group, the Matiksalog Manobo, cope with the modern times?
mm, well, that's a no, no. It's I think it's common problem among indigenous people, no? And they has the modern what's popular is now um, infiltrating in the what was traditional, was before. No? There's a tug of war of elders and who is trying to keep the tradition or maintain the traditional way of order and what was popular. So the new music versus what was considered passe, the new dances, what was considered old. So this has changed by and it changed the thinking. No? So for the youth, for the next generation, the younger generation, they would most of them believe that what uh, that those what we discussed earlier about traditional dances and music and songs and literature, these are for the old, these are passe, no? Because they have been suffering from or constantly dealing with um, discrimination from the lowlands, from the Bisaya settlers, no, in the poblacion and in the major towns and cities. So there's a generation that is trying to remove from their identity because they believe that they could not get better opportunities if they stick with tradition, and then it almost wiped out uh, the their entire identity, their cultural identity, and their tradition. And courtship practices has changed and also created some conflicts, no, because of this, the tug of war. So new music. So there's already the buduts and related music is very popular to the Manobo youth, well, in the province, no. So even during mga festivities funded by the local government in the area, they gid mawala ang buduts, and everybody is dancing the buduts, and they would follow the dances that they found in the internet, because internet is already available in the in the community, and even songs are changed now. And then it affected courtship na it's mga elders naloga instances that the elders is, how do you say, gakalisang, no, sa gakahitabo, and it has created some conflicts lugar, although, and then the chieftains and the elders have been trying to find, a middle ground, or find a way to integrate tradition with the modern era, no? So that's the cultural movement going on, how to integrate, because how do you prevent what you're saying, because these habits, no, of seeing a boy and a girl that saw each other, because they have this idea, if you see a man and a woman, or a young man, young woman together, not related, automatically this would lead to marriage as soon as possible. This is something that is, however, and then dili na ni siya milikayan, no? So it has to be, so because we already have schools, no, people, everybody is in one setting together, and then they form groups, and then they have this encounter. So and then they find, and then it's a constant way of finding a solution to connect to what was tradition to the modern era. So dapat ubanan gid og igagaw, ubanan gid og paryente, kay aron dili lisang, dili hilas tan-awon, kumbaga, sa mga kumakita sa mga tigulang na siya. And then traditional dances are now gina-appeal na sa budots, being very free-willing music. So dito na magsinayawa na og kanang binanog o pig-agawan or kuan mo. Inay mga instances nga makita nato nga gi-integrate ang traditional dances to new music. So na yung mga inana nga mga kuan. These are some of the examples, no. Nanay traditional songs that are ang instrument is guitar na, electric guitar, nanay drum set, no, nanay bass, and then but the songs are manobo. Traditional manobo songs, no, revived or revived or giusab, no? to catch, to somehow find a way nga ma-connect gyapon ang youth sa tradition and connect them to their cultural identity.
Daghang salamat, JC. There are more questions for you, or there are a few more questions for you in a while, and also some reactions to your discussion. Daghang salamat for that. And then, so we would like, before we would have the reaction from from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee on Culture Education, we would like to show you this video, because for those who were not here earlier, we would like to show you again the video that we made regarding the musical instruments of the tibuli. So here's the video.
The kubing maker played the kubing after he made it. Wa pa ko kaybaw at the time ba nga naray secret messages and ang kubing playing. At that time, I did not know yet. I'm sure he did not ask me to go to the river with him or to go to the lake. So according to our heritage consultants, if we want to know the arts and culture of precolonial Visayas or ancient Visayas, we just have to look at the way of life and the arts and culture of the indigenous communities in Mindanao right now. So Lake Cebu is the home of the ethnic group 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶𝗲. We were so amazed that they made serious efforts to preserve their indigenous crafts, their traditional loom weaving of tinalak, brass casting of jewelries and ornaments, and crafting of native instruments such as kumbing and higalong. We wanted to see how a kubing was made, so we were led to the outskirts of Lake Cebu, and we found the kumbing maker in a house where the mother was also sewing a dress with native design. So the Tibulis kumbing is kubing in Maranao. So in 1521, chronicler Pigafetta, who was with Ferdinand Nandiagan, he referred to it as subim. Religious missionary Father Francisco Alcina described the subing as the musical instrument par excellence, as lovers would communicate secretly through playing the instrument. Dunay panahon nga giban ni siya sa usa ka ethnic community tungod kay ni-interfere siya sa mga arranged marriages nga gihimo sa mga elders.
Sanggungalo mare bel menatu dum se de firanga lagi kem gamelin.
To Alcina, he said that the Visayans or the Visaya are a joyful people, comes from the word saya. They use musical instruments, they always sing, and when they express also their love, their affection for someone, they also use music.
The biri nun we ka dun ga biri nun we tu de go nam
The Tibuli Higalong player, Elma, composed her song drawing from her experience of falling in love when she was still 15 years old. The song was filled with longing for the object of her affection, whom she describes as very good looking in all angles, and he has a pointed nose. And most of all, he is hardworking, a trait that is very important for the indigenous people. She wanted very much to be with Filinon.
Kung biri nun.
Wala din siya mahimo. Kaya ang lalaki na asawa sa Pilimon siya na abangan.
Kanta na lang. Hasta.
So what have I learned from these heritage trips? I saw that indigenous peoples that are struggling in trying to continue the crafts. So they are wondering if the younger generation will be following their footsteps. So with the little things that we have done and the little things that we can do, we are looking at the whole community, especially the younger generation, to continue working together and supporting one another in promoting our heritage, in learning about our history, and to be proud of our roots.
Daghang salamat. Again, another round of applause for that video by Social Communications Asia, Prospero Lapot, produced by Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. So now we are going to upload that tonight or tomorrow. So we would now like to have the reaction. We would be reading your reactions, and stay tuned for the trivia quiz with prizes. We will have a reaction from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, member of the Committee on Cultural Education. He is also a professor of the University of Cebu, graduate studies and also from the Maham College. So we have with us our choreographer. He is a master choreographer. He is the choreographer of Pangas, the Cebu Heritage Hotel's precolonial sinulog dance. You have seen that so many times. Please help me welcome Dr. 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲.
Si Sir Nimor. Again, maayong hapon. May hapon or may gabi na ron? May gabi na ba? Or early evening? Okay, anyway. Now, the batig salog of Bukidnon is not really very new to me because actually my first assignment regarding research on folklore. Now, when you research on dance, you'll also have to research on music because you cannot actually dance without music except if you are dancing the dugso. Okay, now, my first assignment was the matigsalog of Kitaw-Taw and also the Pulangien, Manobo. It's actually a Manobo. Also from Bukidnon because actually I was born in Cagayan de Oro. And during that time, I used to accompany my father going to Bukidnon. Kay salesman man to siya. Okay, now, it's actually true, according to Alcina, that the Visayans really were very musical. I think we have a song for every occasion. We only stop singing when we are asleep. And also when we are sick. Pareha nako, muhilom ramang ko og nasakit. No, my students before would notice that I'm not feeling very well because I am very silent and I stay inside the faculty room. There's one thing also. When somebody dies, you're not supposed to sing. No, when somebody dies in pre-colonial times. And we sing most often in the bathroom. Murag, wa man siguro dili mo kanta sa kuan, bathroom. Now, regarding courtship, I would say that it's not just that we are shy, but we are also what we call as very artistic when it comes to non-verbal communication because we really cannot say things straight. So we always send or express our message of love in the form of music. So there's music making, there is singing, and at the same time, there's also dancing. Now, in fact, when you play instruments, you actually sway your body left and right. And I've noticed this among the Matigsalog again and the other group, the 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲 from San Fernando, in which when they have that courtship dance, which is actually the basis for my choreography on the Kuglong Saluray, which I always show, especially at Casagorordo, commercial nila. Actually, I base it on the movements of the Matigsalog and Tigwa or Tigwahanon with regards to the lute, the two-string lute, we call as kuglong or kudlong or sometimes called kudyapi, or actually in Sarawak, I was so surprised. They have an instrument there that looks like the kudlong. They call it sape, although it has 3 strings instead of 2. Now, the boy actually moves. And later on, the girl answers the music played by the boy with a saluray or sauray, or otherwise called tawgaw, which is actually a bamboo zither. Now, the ancient Visayans actually had instruments which actually is the same. In fact, the reason why I'm very interested with Mindanao and also the other groups in the Visayas, especially the ones in Panay and in Palawan, is because most of our indigenous or pre-colonial practices here in Cebu is already modified. Nahimo na siya nga kuan, Spanish or probably American influenced. So when I research on dance movements and also music, we have to look for our neighbors. That's why it's very appropriate that we actually compare most of our Visayan musicality, especially with courtship, among the indigenous groups of Mindanao and also the ones in Palawan, because there is actually a similarity. Actually, I am bringing some instruments here that I will later on show, which actually has similarities or parallels with the kuglong, and then they have the saluray. Although there is now some sort of a change regarding courtship and marriage, because right now, murag, it's very quick to get married. Murag, siguro nakita lang mo last month na nagkuan. Ason buwan nagkuan na murag isang linggong pag-ibig. No? Sa unang panahon, it's very difficult because it would take years for the man to court the lady, but they do it artistically in the form of music, and then you have the balak. Then you have actually a lot of requirements. No, some of these would be the. I've noticed that some marriages are arranged by the elders, pre-arranged siya, or we call it buya. Although it still exists among certain groups. When we were in Mindanao, I've heard of it. No, I've heard of it. And then, in fact, when my mother, I think I could recall that when my mother was pregnant of me, and then medyo i-pre-arrange ko nung unta, ano nga, na siya kauban nga, amiga po, nga mabdos, kung laki ng imo, babae ning ako, ato ni ikuan. No, actually, it's a Chinese practice also because I'm partly Chinese. Oh, unfortunately, nabalhin mig Cebu, may na lang. Okay, then of course you have the go-between. Okay. And then the servitude, or we call it pangagad. And then of course the dowry or the bugay. Now, with regards to the instruments I have here, this is they call it Courtship or 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶, which is actually coming from the Palawan of southern Palawan, which is equivalent to the hagalong, something called fanglong, or the kuglong or kudlong, no, of the tribes in Mindanao. This is a male instrument played only by a male to serenade the lady who answers him with this. The Palawans call this pagang. Then, of course, in Mindanao, it's called saluray or sauray or tawgaw. And actually, it's played by a woman. This is a woman's instrument. This is a woman's instrument. Okay. However, the secret weapon, this is the secret weapon mentioned before as the kubing or the Diyos harp. No? So, katong taga Cebu, pagpa-tutorial pwede ako. Okay. Ayong hapon. Ayong hapon. Ayong hapon. It's a speaking instrument. So what did I say? Okay, good. Mayong hapon.
And then the other instrument.
Yes. Actually, ma-focus ba ko because so I think I can borrow the hagalong. Because the male movement in singing, actually I cannot really do the singing because I really don't know their song. But the movement is something like okay.
Okay.
Then the lady would actually answer that with singing and at the same time dancing and with the saluray. It's actually held like this. Okay. Dapat also lucky of babae because they actually dance in unison. Actually, so mas nindot ang sa una. Because we were more what? Artistic in a very subtle way. Although doon ay sex involved, pero kuan siya. It's very subtle. No? So I still like the old ways. Okay, and of course for the sex positions, to lang, all naturals sa unang panahon. Walay gadget. Although ang mga Cebuano, so na, they already use gadgets. No? Although I've seen the goat's eye still, it's being used. And then you have the what's it called? The bolitas. Yeah, which is also mentioned in Alcina and 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶. So I'm really in doubt with 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶. Why is he researching mostly on the male, not the female? Or intriga na ha? But anyway, what?
Daghang salamat.
Yeah, I really like what is the topic for today.
Valentine's Day.
Yes, this is very enlightening.
Daghang salamat, Cesar Dimor. So thank you also for your inputs, and then also I know now that aside from being a good dancer, he is also an instrumentalist. So he can play the instrument. So we have this. He is a co-author of this book. We have this displayed at our basahadan. Same as we have this Sayaw Sugbo. It's a Cebuano folk dance. And Cesar Nimor is one of the authors of this book. It also has a video. It has a video demonstration. It has a CD, and then it also has a free bookmarker. So aside from that, so we have our other books at our basahanan in Lumaya for you to learn more about Cebu history or Visayan history or Philippine history, culture and heritage. So stay tuned for the reaction. So who wants to react and how do you court? So before that, who will be the one to react? Do you use music in courtship? For the young people who are here, di sila mutingog. A young teacher who is here. So before he will say something, I will give first the first trivia question. So we have 3 trivia questions. The second and third questions would be answered online. The first question would be answered physically, and the one who would win this would have a prize of hilot sa tiil. Again, hilot is a free, our hilot alima native massage. We will have a free foot massage done by our Alima native, Bamgrass Alima native massage. So this is the first question. Only for the physical on-site audience. So everyone on-site except the technical team would be able to answer this. So everyone can answer except the technical team who already knows the answer. So the question is this. So how would I know who wants to answer? So you raise your hand, then you would go there. So the first one to you check who is the first to raise his hand or his or her hand for this question. So the first question is question is this. The trivia question is this. What is the name of that type of song that is like a lyrical debate between a man and a woman? So who wants to answer? Oh, si Koan, from Fiber, from National Fiber, Ben. So what's the answer?
Balitaw.
Congratulations! You win a hilot sa tiil, a free hilot sa tiil. Is this your first time to join on-site our event? You have joined before, but during the pandemic, this is the first time. So congratulations, Ben, for winning a free hilot sa tiil by our Alima Native Massage. And there is also a reaction from Ben online about the tinalak, and he says that he is from the Fiber Institute of the Philippines, and they promote also the natural fiber. And then Benjamin said, tinalak weaving in Lake Cebu is using 100% abaca. Dye materials are all organically found only in Lake Cebu from the barks and leaves of trees found in the area. The weavers are called dream weavers, considering that their designs originated from their dreams. And of course, I didn't wear my Tibuli accessories right now, but this is the tinalak. This is a sample of the tinalak, and their traditional colors are red, white, and black or brown. So the red means it signifies the bravery of the Tibuli warriors. The black or brown represents the soil, the earth or the soil, and the white represents the fudalo. The fudalo is the abaca spirit that gives them dreams for them to know what should be their design. And this design is called gundong. This is the design called gundong, and this is the design of the very beautiful Tibuli princess. This is her last design. And the name of the Tibuli princess is Gundong. So that's why the name of the fabric, this design, is Gundong. We also have one at outside. It's rice blossom. I forgot the Tibuli word for that. So it also represents the rice blossom. So that's our our thank you. So we have the comment from Ben. So it's made us discuss more about the Tibuli Tinalak. So now the second question is this can be answered only by online audience, not by those here physically or on site. So those online. So the third question would be answered both by online and on-site audience, except the one who already won. so, so, so the second question is only for those online. So this is the second question. Those who are not here would be able to answer this, or would. So this is the question. The prize is a free kubing. The prize is a free kubing from really a Tibuli, made by the Tibuli with his hard work and love. And then, so the question is this: what is the precolonial Visayan term for the bamboo jaw harp? Alcina referred to it as a Jew's harp. So now so who would answer? Those here don't answer, you will not qualify. You can answer, but you won't qualify to be a winner. So we would have only those online. Can you check the NQC page, because I have naglobat akong kuan. So those at the Palmgrass the Cebu Heritage page, are you now? Someone already answered. So Subing from Sweetie Pie. Sweetie Pie, congratulations. You win. If you are from Cebu, you can claim it. If you are not from Cebu, you claim it when you come to Cebu. Not included ang freight, right? Sa price. Shipping is not included in the price. So, but you can request to have it shipped to you, but the shipping is not included in the price. So you win a free subing from that Tibuli kubing maker, kumbing. This is kumbing in the Tibuli. So you've seen him in the video. He was playing it. That was 2019. So it's okay. This is now safe. It is now, we can sanitize it. So next question, the last question, the final question. And then you will be able to win. So those, a 5-hour stay at Palmgrass, the Cebu Heritage Hotel, and also a free soak and chill at the saltwater dipping pool at Hardin Dagami. So this is the question. What animal is the common symbolism of both lutes or two-string musical instruments? You answer through the comment section. What na kay lo? What? So if no one will be able to answer, you can answer physically. So you answer. What na data? So pwede ka na nga yung kuan. You can have the password here for the kuan. There is already a winner. Who is the winner? So we have a winner. So we have our Suki teacher from the Asian College of Technology. So we have the answer from, so can you show the one who answered? So Sweetie Pie is from the St. Paul University. That's and this is in Dumaguete, St. Paul University in Dumaguete. So Sweetie Pie, so you can have your kubing. So then the correct answer is crocodile. So even our kudyapi or koryapi that was described by Father Francisco Alcina, the symbolism is crocodile. So buaya, buaya. So that was your answer, Kaan. Sayang kaayo. So would you like to give him a password? So who needs password, so you can have equal opportunity in answering? So So now so wala na din no human ang tulo ka questions. Sorry kaayo. Do we have a last question again? I will have another question. Sige. So what's the price for the last question? Same? Soak and chill, or we will have an overnight stay? Overnight stay. I will so lisod kay mangita og overnight stay. Sige, overnight stay. So this is my question. This is the question for an overnight stay at Pamgras, the Cebu Heritage Hotel. What year did Father Francisco Alcina publish his writings on the history of the Visayan people? Sige, what year? No, wala. So those online, would you know the history of the Visayan people? What year? Is it very hard? Should I have another question? So, naa sa video. Nasa video, no? Nasa video. It was, did I mention it? I guess I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned it. So anyway, Nay nag-answer? B, the answer of Ferdy is 1965. Sorry, try again. Pen Lars is 1985. Sorry, it's not. Arvin Lee, you're correct. 1668. Congratulations, Arvin Lee. From which part of the archipelago are you? From which part of the country are you, Arvin? Did I mention it, or did you Google it fast? Did you Google fast, or did we mention it? I should have asked the question. What year did Pigafetta discover the Subin? The answer to 1521. So correct, good. So now we will have the closing statements from our panelists. So we will have the closing statement, because I didn't see another question. We have a closing statement from our panelists from the National Commission for Culture and the Arts Committee on Music member, 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗶𝗲𝗁. So 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗋 can't be with us, but he recorded his presentation, his answers to our questions, and he also recorded his closing statement for us.
To celebrate the month of hearts and love, among the Visayans, nothing has changed. No? So from the time we were discovered by Alcina and how we treat love, it did not change until now. No, so still the Visayans are music-loving people, are very expressive of their love through music, and the music that we have created in the past, and we are creating at the moment, are still the same music that expresses the love, the value of life, and how we are as a people, in all levels of relationships. So love for a loved one, the romantic love for a mother, for a child, for our country, it's still the same kind of love that we want to artistically express. And we could see this in songs that we have. And as musicians, I personally advocate for the development of music, and lead the youth to a good direction where they can create music with the other members of the community, and as a testament of their dreams, their aspirations as a people, as a people who are fond of love and being loved. Mayong hapon ug salamat sa pag-imbita ninyo sa akin. Mabuhay ang mga
Daghang salamat. Daghang salamat to 𝗟𝘂𝗰𝗋 for giving us his time and his expertise on Visayan music. So Arvin, the one who answered correctly, 1668, he said he is from Cebu, and then he watched it at the video. He knew about the year when the book was published in the video. Very good. Very good, Kuno. So Arvin, the on-site people here are clapping, are giving you an applause for being able to see the detail of the year that the Alcina book was published. So now we have this closing statement from our panelists from Cagayan de Oro, from the City Museum of Cagayan de Oro, the museum in charge of Cagayan de Oro, who has also immersed in the because of his fascination for the indigenous people. So he has also learned how to play the kubing. Let's have JC.
Yes, no, to close, no, I would like to thank everyone, especially the Palmgrass Cebu Heritage Hotel, for this opportunity to share share a glance or a small part of Manobo, of the Matigsalog culture, no? And to let the people, the audience here, know that they exist, and this is how and how colorful they are, and very. Um, uh, I hmm, I would like to challenge, no, everyone, especially mga kaedad na ko, my age, and the uh, younger generation, no, to study as well and explore, appreciate, and somehow find a way to integrate, no, what was written in our history books, and to learn from our indigenous people, no, about what we have discussed. And I hope I was able to contribute and help a lot in this endeavor. And uh, and for, since it's the month of love, kunuhay, it's the month of Goinawa, no, the day of Goinawa, the day of love, and the day of, well, in the Matigsalog language, breath and love are synonymous, diba? So that's how loving the Manobos are. It's like breathing in air. So when they say I love you, madakol Goinawa ka kay ko, they would say it means I'm I madakol, get a big breath is given to you. A piece of my life is shared with you. Yeah. So, basig pohon mangulitaw mo, you might do that secret message sa inyong crush. Oy. Madakal gaynawa ka kay ko. So, madakal gaynawa ka kay ko, kantalangan.
I have one more
Marasilo.
question for you. One
Yes,
more.
ma'am.
Last. So when you courted your sweetheart right now, so you're in a relationship right now. So did you use the kubing or any musical instrument when you courted her?
Gisayaw na ko na, ma'am.
Sure, he used dance. He danced for the girl.
Oh.
Dagang salamat, JC. We're so
Gisayaw.
happy. We're so happy you are with us today, and it was a chance meeting with you a few months back, and we're so happy you're able to share the indigenous people's way of life with us. Dagang salamat. Maayong
Sige,
hapon, maayong gabi. So
gabi.
we invite everyone. So I guess there is one more. Do we have a millennial who would say something how he or he courted his sweetheart? Do we have the teacher from CTU to share with us if regarding the modern day courtship? So we have also one of the choreographers of the armies.
Yeah.
So we have Vincent.
Yeah, based on experience, it's just I just collaborated with friends from the orchestra. Then it's just magic, and that's it. It's our 5th anniversary for tomorrow. So, God, shout out to my girlfriend.
Happy
anniversary! Happy 5th anniversary for tomorrow.
Happy 5th anniversary. And because it's your anniversary, you get a free Gugma Yarn Cake of the Month. Congratulations. So there should be a free Gugma Yarn cake for Vincent. Daghang salamat. So we would like to invite you once again to our event tonight, our Gugma Yarn event, Find Your Match. The first 14 who would go to Hardin Dagami tonight will have free lumay. And then there is also free love potion for the first 14. And there is also, what are the other, describe your ex in one word. And the one who will win with the most applause. The one who will win is the one with the most applause. Describe your ex in one word. Ikaw, how will you describe? Amang. Amang ko no mute. so and then the winner of the Gugmang na Pakyas, heart broken. Asa ba na gugmang failed love. Failed love. The game, the online game of Gugmang, tell us the most creative and your worst heartbreak. The winner of that would be announced tonight also at the Gugma Yarn event. So we will also have on February 28th, the 6th anniversary of Pamgrass Kapihan ni Lumaya. Our event would be Sugba to 𝗟𝗂𝗰𝗶 gastronomic pleasure in the Visayas since 500 years ago. Because of course, the way to a person's heart is through the stomach. So there will be food trips sa ikaunom nga tuig sa Lumaya and Angli Sugba Tuwa ug Kilaw. So this is the traditional cooking method in the Visayas or in Cebu. The Sugba, this is to grill or roast. Tuwa is the broth, just a soup. And then the Kilaw is to eat it raw. so, so daghang salamat. Malipayong adlaw sa mga kasing-kasing. Happy Hearts Day and Happy National Arts Month. Malipayong adlaw sa malipayong buwan sa Alampat. Daghang salamat o maayong gabi.